at the Big A. We'll kick things off on the turf in just a moment. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Searling, winningest rider in the history of this track, Richie Migliori. But there was some drama in Baltimore yesterday. We'll get to all of that in the Preakness in just a moment. We have, as mentioned, Belmont at the Big A, Monmouth Park, Paula Duca out there as well. Looking forward to this Sunday card.
Looking forward to spending some time with you guys.
Yeah, terrific card. I wasn't even supposed to be here, so I'm glad I was brought in off the bench, and we're going to obviously dissect the Preakness a bit.
And we will talk about that drama with journalism. What a performance. And we will hold our breath and hope that we see that rematch in the Belmont.
I agree. It could be a great Belmont. You get the Derby, first three in the Derby in there. Tremendous race.
Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farms. So fast and firm here at New York. This pick 5 coming up in just 5 minutes here. And at Monmouth out of the Jersey Shore, 7th, their feature, that John J. Riley, They Are Fast and Firm, out of Monmouth Park. So look forward to this Sunday card here coming up. We're going to get right into it. This 5th race, mile and a 16th on the turf, $50,000 maiden claiming group, and the 11 in here. That is competitive. Threat, Chad Brown, Clarvich Stables, Flavien Prat, the favorite right now.
Yeah, and he's the horse to beat. Not great numbers for Chad Brown, especially for this barn. Maiden special weight to maiden claimer and turf routes, but in this race, he's the horse to beat.
Here's our post parade. We start with Joe Sharp's YOLO. Dylan Davis rides.
I put this one on top as the alternative. She gets back on the turf. I do worry, though, she has a very little speed, to say the least.
7-2 from that inside position. Addressable market. And yes, it was a former Clarvich horse.
I think they've moved on. You hear?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
No,
37-1.
addressable market just had a lot of chances, and she'd have to get considerably faster.
Dandy Vandy coming in from the West Coast.
Probably the underlay on the board right now. Horses' races really aren't very good, switching to Mike Maker for the first time.
Ricardo Santana Jr. on the 4.
Yeah, filly that had a race off the layoff drops back in for maiden claiming. A couple of her maiden claiming tries were okay.
A little tough to make, Lady Gunner.
That would be true. She's run the turf 3 times and done very little running.
Day away, Christian Mirage aboard.
Well, has been away since last Saratoga and has had a lot of chances as well.
0 for 3 in the money on the grass. Wake Up Lauren.
Yeah, another horse who's just, she has one race that's not that bad. The other turf races are not good.
It's a Kitty was 61-1 in the debut.
And ran to the odds, just really showed very little.
Well, this one might be a player, American Kestrel.
Well, she's potentially the speed.
Sail Away, Anthony Dutrow Barn.
It drops in for a tag first time. You get Kendra Carmouche for a horse that can be forward as well.
Competitive Threat, Chad Brown, Flavien Prat.
Dropping down a 4-year-old that's only made 4 starts, and she's running where she belongs.
And start number 2 in the turf debut. We're awaiting the big entrance for Ocean Rain.
Yeah, trying the turf, tough post, but you get Jose Lezcano. I think she's been riding in tremendous form.
I think they're revving up the smoke machine, Greg. I think that's what we're waiting for.
We're awaiting the grand entrance. There she goes. Jose Lezcano will be aboard. This filly by Echo Town.
Yeah, going to have to overcome the post. The mare did run on turf, but she wasn't very competitive. Going to have to improve.
All right, so Andy, where do you wind up?
I picked the 1. I just want an alternative, the 11, but I picked the second choice. I'll be honest, I didn't have a strong opinion here. I think the 11 is the horse to beat, but somewhat of a vulnerable favorite. I just didn't really have anywhere else I wanted to go. Believe it or not, I tried to make a case for crazy horses like the 8 for a while. I just couldn't do it. I know the 9's a speed, the 10, both those horses not impossible in here, but I ended up going 111. I pretty much chalked it out.
I like the 3 horse in here. I just wonder, how that California form is going to compare to here.
My general feeling is that the California turf horses, they don't usually stack up with ours. You see it a lot when they ship here, and I don't love the race this horse coming out of. Was purchased at a digital sale for $34,000 for the new connections. Mike Maker's numbers, as Maggie pointed out to me earlier today, not very good off trainer switches and turf routes.
Speaking of, as he's stealing your stuff,
she got over it.
Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Lovely segue, guys, as we'll check in, though, with your favorite first off the bat here, Competitive Threat. And I like everything about her as an individual. She's well prepared, as one would expect. Here, coming off a little bit of a freshening as she takes that drop in class. Actually, last time facing the boys, as she also ran a bit further last time out and the time before that. And watching her races, you can kind of see why Chad Brown opted to do that, because she kind of is a bit of a one-pace type. And she looks that way. She's a bit long and scopy in her frame overall. I'm still going to take her here with that drop in class, kind of a boring pick for me, but I couldn't find too many things not to like about her. Again, just slightly concerned that amount of 16th might be on the shorter side for her. But number one, taking a lot of play, YOLO. You only live once. As her two turf races I liked, and she looks like a turf horse. She was saddled on the walk here, as we are seeing the assistant starters attending to one of the horses on the track right now. I think it's just a saddle adjustment, I believe. But YOLO, getting back to her, look, she comes off a bit of a layoff. She looks fit and pretty strong. I wish she looked a little bit stronger behind the saddle, and those hindquarters are a little bit more on the peak side, but she's a big strapping girl. So with that in mind too, she also might need to start just to get totally race fit, but I do like where she's drawn. It's just her lack of speed that I think makes her just a touch vulnerable. I respect her a lot. As number 3, Dandy Vandy, I wasn't expecting to like, and as the guys kind of alluded to, I don't really like her on paper. I don't like the fact that last time she was a heavily backed favorite, and she just completely lost her hind end out of the gate. She was crossfiring. What that means is they're on one lead, their, let's say, left lead in front with their front legs, and their right lead with their hind legs. It just kind of hints at the fact that a horse might be pretty weak in their hind end. And you know what I say about that? I want them very strong there. But physically, here on this particular occasion, she does make her first start for Mike Maker. I don't mind what I'm seeing from her, and she's warmed up very nicely. So we'll see how she translates that, what is sometimes weaker California form, here to New York. And as just to give the numbers with regards to that stat, first after the trainer change in turf routes with all maidens, only 4 for 38 with an 86 ROI for Mike Maker. And then a little mention of another drop down in Sail Away, number 10 for Tony Dutrow. I just think she fits better with this group. You know, when she walked into the paddock against that field on April 23rd, she kind of looked a little more small and unassuming. And today, she just looks like a better type, relatively speaking, compared to what she's facing here today. And I don't think she ran that badly last time. Still a somewhat lightly experienced, and I think there is a step forward in her with this drop in class, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. There's the 10 about to step in Sail Away.
She's not
A little bit interesting, right, at 9-1?
Sure, why not? She was outside last time. The rail might have been a slight benefit when the turf course was pretty fresh. I thought she ran fine against some tougher horses. She can win. I mean, listen, the 11's the worst to beat, but she's no killer. But she might just be running where she belongs.
Might have just found the right group, right?
Yeah. I like YOLO, but the thing that worries me with the one YOLO is her complete and total lack of speed. She might really be out the back door, and I just don't know if there's a ton of pace. But sometimes in these races, some oddball ends up getting involved in the pace and heating things up. The one might need that help.
Late pick 5 on our Sunday card from Belmont of the Big A begins here. Mile and a 16th on the turf. Let's go to Chris Griffin to get us started.
Day Away. Ocean Rain to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Good speed towards the inside from Dandy Vandy in the early mix. And in between horses comes Lady Gunner quickly out of the chute. And here comes some of the outside markers there. It's a Kitty is in that early mix. Ocean Rain from a 4 outside draw. Competitive Threat. Not in any hurry. Tightly bunched on the front end. And the leader, It's a Kitty. It's a Kitty is in between horses, is up by a half length with at the rail now Lady Gunner. Saving all the ground. They're tightly bunched in behind. Out wider there is the gray. That's Competitive Threat, who's a close-up third. And moving in behind them, that's American Kestrel. Dandy Vandy is a little keen, wants to go, is back there in 5th, is at the rail, moving up on the outside. Purple Cap, that's Day Away, just trying to get out a bit as they work to the back stretch. Then in behind them comes Classic Karas, who in the red cap and Ocean Rain broke with the leaders, is now mid-pack towards the back end of the field with Sail Away. The three at the back, that's Addressable Market, with the two trailers, Wake Up Lauren, and YOLO is the trailer. 48-4, the posted half-mile time, the leader, It's a Kitty. Competitive Threat, no excuses, has been stalking this pace hitter, is back to within a neck of the leader. Tight hold towards the inside, Lady Gunner. Dandy Vandy now makes a move in between horses. American Kestrel is out wider, still tightly bunched. Day Away is getting the hurry up towards the outside. Here comes a run from Wake Up Lauren, who's on the move as the leaders backed out of it quickly. It's a Kitty is just backing up through the field, and they're stacking up in behind. Competitive Threat and American Kestrel have a quarter-mile left to go. Dandy Vandy is called upon for the effort. Day Away is trying to rally on towards the outside. Competitive Threat is in front. American Kestrel. Here comes Dandy Vandy. Starts to roll down the center of the course. It's Competitive Threat, and here comes Dandy Vandy catching with every stride. Competitive Threat, though, is very game, is not giving up the lead. Dandy Vandy's trying to get there. Competitive Threat still gutting it out. Competitive Threat, there's your winner. Dandy Vandy second, then came Day Away. And Lady Gunner in 1 minute 44. Second flat.
Competitive Threat holds off the threat from Dandy Vandy, and the favorite starts off this late pick 5 with a win.
Yeah, I mean, Flavien Prat, that's one of the reasons that he's as good as he is that he looks at a race, he realizes there's not much speed. His horse isn't exactly a speedball, but where is he? Sitting second, right on top of the pace. 3 who you like, Richie, was a good call by you. Got a very good trip, a perfect ride for Manny, just second best.
Yeah, I mean, these were the two best horses in the race, but Flavien getting forward position. Man, for a horse that doesn't look like she has a big turn of foot, meaning acceleration, this is the right move. Count on her stamina. You know, she's not going to run out of training coming out of the Chad Brown barn. And the lead he had into the stretch was able to fend off the 3, Dandy Vandy, but the 2 logical horses.
Yeah, I didn't like the 3, to be honest, though I did pick the horse third, my one horse. You know, obviously the pace did not help the 1, but I don't think she ever made a run anyway, so I don't think if the pace was fast, she was going to win this race, as it turned out. But the only sort of surprises were horses like the 6 and 5 at big prices getting 3rd and 4th.
65 to 1, 80 to 1. Yeah, underneath, complete the Triant Super. 11, 3, 6, 5 finish. We're going to take a timeout. Just an incredible performance from the Kentucky Derby runner-up in the Preakness from journalism. We'll dissect it when we come back.
Monmouth Park summer season rolls on with live racing action every weekend. Our 50-day summer season features a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus a new middle pick 5, joining the winnerly pick 5 on our wagering venue. With growing pools and field sizes, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Joining us on site, lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. It's the favorite that starts off this late pick 5 on our Sunday card. Competitive threat, Chad Brown, Klarovich Stable, Silks, and Flavien Prat.
I guess the drop down, Richie, was the right move because she was just good enough.
Yeah, getting forward position, showing a bit more speed, getting in position, and a very logical result in my estimation. Competitive threat holds off Dandy Vandy with some big prices underneath.
And I think, you see one of the reasons that Flavien Prat has achieved this kind of success he has, because he will do the little things to give his horses that extra chance to win. Instead of sitting way back and letting the horse tell him where to go, he said, no, I'm going to tell you where we're going to be.
Yeah, I think he's the most reminiscent of the way Jerry Bailey approached racing and getting his position going forward and finding the spots where his horses could show their best run, not giving them too much to do, not putting them in a position where they're compromised.
Even elbows, which we'll get to
Yes.
coming up right now. Incredible performance from Journalism, bulling his way through a very narrow spot to win the middle jewel of the Triple Crown. Let's take a look at what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the ride and situations, but nothing should take away from what a terrific racehorse Journalism is.
Oh, he's just a tremendous effort here. He chose to go inside. He moves up inside of Flavien Prat. The same guy he moved up inside of, by the way, in the Santa Anita Derby and kind of got stuffed that day. It was just earlier in the race. There is no room, and he's bowling his way through. Clever, again, took the worst of it right there. And I think at that point, Flavien Prat realized if I don't relieve a little of this pressure, something bad's going to happen.
And, Flavien kind of suckered him in there to begin with by drifting a little bit off the rail on the turn. And at that point, I would say that Rispoli overcommitted to being inside as opposed to being in the two path. And we talk about this and giving yourself options so you can swing around late in the turn and go outside. And when you're riding a horse that's that heavily favored and that likely to win, why take the risk?
I agree with you. I think one of the marks of a top rider is being able to judge what they have underneath them. And frankly, in the Santa Anita Derby, he didn't ride him like he thought he was on the best horse. He was trying to get in the same spot, and he moved up inside of Flavien, and Flavien said, no, I'm going to hold my line. And he was able to back out and then come around. He did the same thing here in the Preakness. And it just makes you feel like if he had a little bit more of idea exactly what he had underneath him, he wouldn't head to these. This is a next to impossible spot.
Flavien said, come on in here into my trap. And, I don't know why people are blaming Flavien. I think they also understand it was really this horse coming through like that and sort of pushing his back end out that caused any of the horses, the contact.
Maybe turned him in a bit, but this was him. He's steering out into him. Now, Flavien's trying to hold his line, but now you see that's what you're talking about when he gets turned in. A horse is not going to run perfectly straight. When another horse's shoulder hits their hip, it's going to turn them in. Think of like an 18-wheeler, right? If a car hits a truck from behind, it's going to make it almost jackknife. That's what happened there. I do think that Flavien might have went slightly over the line, especially because when he throws the holds, he has a tendency to move his elbow out. But everything precipitated Umberto Rispoli's move, forcing his way into an impossible spot. 90% of horses are not going to that place.
I agree.
So you felt he maybe should have taken the path that Sandman did, waited, and
I think he should have waited and given himself options. You're on the best horse. You don't have to tip out too soon, but the way it started to stack up, a little more patience, follow, and then start to edge out. Two things you can't question: Umberto Rispoli's courage and Journalism's ability and courage. But you do have to question putting himself in that precarious position. To me, I thought it was an ill-judged ride.
And if he hadn't gotten up, he would be the goat of goats right now, and a lot of it would be reasonable. Why did you put him in that spot? The fact that he won, some of it's forgotten. And I don't want to take away from Journalism. He is sensational. And Michael McCarthy deserves so much credit. And he really trained him with the thought in mind that he was going to be a Triple Crown winner. Because he has him ready to run in all of these races, and hopefully there's no wear and tear, and he can run in the Belmont. The ride aside, I think we need to celebrate just what a cool and exciting race it was.
Yeah,
It was
Connections have said they're going to wait as long as
thrilling.
they can to make a decision on the Belmont because they want to be there. They want to see that rematch with Sovereignty in the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. We'll wait and see if it happens because everybody in racing wants to see it. Let's go down to Maggie, who had a chance actually to talk to Flavien Prat.
Yeah, I spoke to him before this last race here at the Big A, Greg, and he said, look, I did not think there was a hole there for him to be in the first place. Now, obviously, he was in front of him at the moment, and two, he said I was holding my ground, as I think we all can agree upon, is what he was doing to begin with. And, furthermore, he said at the end of the day, there were two things. I was disappointed because I felt as though I had a bit more horse and that my horse too did not necessarily get the greatest chance at placing a bit better. I think he kind of heeded the fact that he wasn't necessarily going to beat Journalism on the day. And two, he said at the most important thing is that everybody came home safe. And I could not echo that sentiment more. So it was a scary situation. I've lost my voice for other reasons of being down there at Preakness yesterday, but one of them was screaming at the TV because it was scary for a good 16th of a mile, Greg. So I could tell that Flavien was disappointed and a bit dejected, but still he walked away from me with a smile on his face, knowing that, yes, everyone is safe.
20-year anniversary of what we saw with the Fleet. Alex, that incredibly athletic move. I think this was arguably even more dramatic, and he overcame more to run down this big long shot and get the win.
And who should get credit as well as Brendan Walsh for running a very good race. Watching the race, sometimes you feel like you're watching them in slow motion. And we've watched thousands and thousands and thousands of races. And my feeling when he did that and got between horses was, oh, God, this horse is going to get beaten. He's the best horse in the race. This is going to be really disappointing. And then when he extricated himself and he kicked in, it was thrilling.
I mean, had he hit the board after that, you would have said, what an effort, right?
It was a thrilling race.
Exactly. But, we've seen Umberto Rispoli put this horse in kind of tough positions twice, 2 out of the last 3. And he lost ground at Churchill Downs. Churchill Downs is the same configuration as Pimlico. People say, well, the tight turns of Pimlico. They're both mile racetracks.
It's lunacy.
So why was it okay to lose ground there and then you felt like you had to save ground here?
I would imagine if he had to look back on it, he probably would ride him differently.
Sure.
And he is a very good rider, and I don't think we're suggesting he's not. Probably not the best judgment.
Let's bring in Paul now from Monmouth. Your thoughts on what you saw in the Preakness, Paulie.
I thought it was one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen, especially at Pimlico, to be able to pick up Gosker late in that race. Now, I'm in total agreement with Andy. You go back and look at that race. Umberto Rispoli was going inside to outside. He had made 2 different moves, whether he was going to go inside, outside. And if you keep on looking, Flavien Prat kept floating off the rail, and he set the trap. It was a perfect trap. It just goal-oriented, didn't have any horse. Hindsight is 20/20, the way the horse won, right? If the horse goes around the field, does he win? Yeah, he wins, but we didn't know that going in, so he puts the horse in a tough spot. And Flavien tried to hold his position. Maybe, I think when the 4, when the horse kind of swapped leads, it made it a little worse and kind of put, the 8 into a bad situation. But I still can't believe that Journalism won the race with those strides late. I mean, Sandman had about 2 lengths on him late, and he was able to get through that hole and keep on going. A lot of people, even myself, thought, listen, Flavien might have won over the line, but then you guys go different ways, saying that he maybe couldn't have had that spot. But I'm with you, Andy. Flavien set the trap on Umberto because he was trying to go wide, and he was trying to go inside. He didn't know what to do, to be honest with you. And the best thing should have been just go around the field when you got that kind of horse. But again, they got the job done, and Gosker probably looked home for a lot of people that had that horse. But Journalism, to me, that was one of the best races I've ever seen by one of the most athletic horses I've seen.
Just incredible will and desire. Not to mention turn a foot to just turn it on and run down Gosker for the
Doesn't
win.
it seem like he always kind of finds another gear, too? I mean, even in the Santa Anita Derby, it was like 16th out, he found another stride.
Yeah, listen, he's a good horse. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. He certainly hasn't proven greatness, but he's a very good horse.
Do you think it's a very good 3-year-old crop?
I think so far it's looking good.
Yeah.
And we got a lot more racing to go, so I think it's
was
exciting times.
Pretty close to a great great performance.
I mean, it wasn't a hugely fast race. He was just so much better than those horses. He could overcome trouble and win.
3-2 favorite here, Vanilla Sunday, who we know from New York, venturing outside of New York for the first time for Todd Pletcher.
I don't like
coming
that
out of the
horse.
Grade 3 Gazelle.
I would like to book every cent better than that horse. I bet the 1.
Matt Dinneran, the call. Here's the 6 from Monmouth. Start of the pick 4.
2 back. Dinosaur. And to the outside, Pink Ruby. Rounding out the group. We're ready to go. And we're off. Getting squeezed at the break. Rosie on the River drops to the back. Pink Ruby from the far outside gets into it early, crosses over, and establishes a clear lead. Pink Ruby going into the first turn. A few runners in tight there. Tower 22 is one of them. Wendiria went a little wide into that turn. Now she's straightened up here, and the pacemaker is Pink Ruby. Vanilla Sunday has to steady off of heels midway on the first turn here. Not a good go for Vanilla Sunday in the early stages of the race. Pink Ruby is on the lead here, 3 parts of a length. Diria is right behind, pressing mildly in second. A length to the Grey Noble Exchange, obliging to the inside. A deep Tower 22 is 3 deep with that pair. Dinosaur in the green is 3 off the pace. Another length to Vanilla Sunday, second to last now. And Rosie on the River on a hold at the back as they're halfway home. Pink Ruby, Fernando Hara on the lead a length. Diria tracking from the second position. Tower 22 alongside going into the turn. Obliging is shaken up in fourth with Dinosaur. And then comes Rosie on the River out of last. Passing runners. Has 5 lengths to make up in 3 furlongs. Vanilla Sunday and an all-out drive second to last. Notable Exchanges dropped out of it as they round the far turn. Pink Ruby asked for a little more. Here's Dinosaur on the scene. And Dinosaur and Pink Ruby are squaring off at the top of the stretch. They're 2.5 clear of Tower 22 in the third position. Rosie on the River fourth, and then Vanilla Sunday as they come down the lane. Pink Ruby still clear on the lead, putting away Dinosaur at the furlong pole. Dinosaur's trying to come back on, but Pink Ruby has a nice burst here with a 16th to go. She's 2 clear coming to the finish. Pink Ruby all the way. Dinosaur was second, Rosie on the River third, then Tower 22, Vanilla Sunday fifth.
Pink Ruby upset Fernando Hara. Lindsay Schultz, 3-year-old filly by Connect, picks up her second win.
Good job clearing the lead with Pink Ruby, who had the second highest buyer, last race buyer of anybody in the field, and probably went off at too big a price.
They come out of that sprint at Oakland, showed good speed that day, and carried them gate to wire here.
For a moment, like Dinosaur, was going to roll right on by, but Pink Ruby finds
That's
more.
a very clever name, Dinosaur.
It is. My son would love it.
You taking him to see the new Jurassic Park movie? He'll be watching, and
might be a little young.
you'll be hiding under the seats. But big news, I saw an advertisement for it last night to advertise that a new trailer is coming out this week. I'd never seen that before, an advertisement for an advertisement.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a new Hollywood trick.
Race 6 on the turf again, Mountain 3/16 outer turf maiden special weight coming up. That is Van Ginkel, Chad Brown, Flavien Prat at it again. Let's go down to Maggie.
That name just makes me chuckle for some reason. Van Ginkel, he looks fantastic here in the paddock as a favorite. But let's check in with some lightly raced horses who are coming off of layoffs, beginning with the beautifully bred number 2 in here, occupying the rail spot is Gun Barrel City, who returns as a gelding. I'm sure it had to be painful to break the news that the Frankel out of Mrs. McDougall, who was one of my favorite turf mares, was getting the snip. But obviously it's been a long road to get him to the races with only 1 start and another layoff to contend with here. Now, watching his first race, I put in my notes what a beautiful mover he actually was, at least in the warm-ups. And he just kind of ran like a horse who just kind of floats around there and doesn't really have that great of an acceleration. So therefore, stretching out to this mile and 3/16, which is only half a furlong shorter. Yes, I like him coming back in this spot. Do I think he needs to strengthen a little bit? Yes, but he does look fit enough from a leanness perspective here coming back for Todd. As we'll move on to number 9, Royals Pride. Same thing can be said for him, though he's still a colt. The second dam on this guy is Royal Delta, and he is a Dubawi. So therefore, I do like him getting more ground to work with. He had an incredibly wide journey at Tampa first time out, and two just kind of ran evenly around the racetrack, so indicating to me that this type of distance should be well within his wheelhouse. He presents himself that way in the paddock too, and that he's kind of long and leggy and does have a lot of scope to his frame. So I like what I'm seeing from Royal's Pride. A little bit of a refreshing, but looks incredibly fit and ready to go. And then not to forget about a horse who actually does draw in off the AEs, Wonder Finn. I wasn't necessarily drawn to him on paper, but he immediately caught my eye here in the paddock. Just a great coat to him, well muscled. He's third off of that extended layoff now, and he also gets a little bit more ground to work with, which I think should be to his liking, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Post parade here coming up momentarily. Manny Franco ready to hop aboard Wonder Finn coming up. Also eligible that draws in and dangerous, I thought, at a price in here.
The problem with being an also eligible is you want to get in, but if you get in, you're stuck in a bad outside post in these turf races. This is a very competitive race. I did pick the favorite, Van Ginkel. I thought he came out of the best race last time out, and I thought he ran well in there. The winner came back to win, improved his buyer speed figure 3 points. I think Mayor of Midnight, the 6, did not get the best of trips last time with a wide trip at Tampa. And I'm very curious to see what the 2 does, because she's got a $1 million pedigree. But I'm just not sure how good she is.
Well, coming back as a gelding.
Thank you.
Right?
So he's definitely not a she.
No. But, obviously with that pedigree, and I thought ran well enough first time and kind of the complete makeover, getting Lasix for the first time, gelding. You got to think they're going to be very competitive.
I don't
here.
know. I don't know how much running he did first time. There he is.
So, yeah, son of Frankel, Gun Barrel City, New Gelding.
We'll see. I mean, he's got the pedigree to win this race, that's for sure.
And well posted.
Yeah.
Here's Adventurous Todd Pletcher, turf for the first time.
I'll do. Now I'll get back to my horses. Sorry, Richie. First, I have to Just a Touch, who looks like he could have a very big year, but is also really plenty of pedigree, the damn side pedigree.
Chad Brown, Pratt looked to go back-to-back. Van Ginkel.
He comes off of a big effort at Keeneland. Very logical.
Stablemate, and the bigger price for Chad Brown, Mayor of Midnight.
Yeah, we see Chad get several horses started at Tampa that turn out to be really okay. This horse could take a big step forward. And like Andy said, not the smoothest journey last time.
Big wide trip.
Sneaky okay turf debut for Bourbon for Toby last out.
Yeah, yes and no. He didn't run badly in there, but I just didn't see any oomph from him to say he really improved.
The Hero Code, blinkers on New Gelding.
Yeah, another horse, got a couple of changes here. Gelding goes from Hall of Famer Shug McGahee's barn, though.
Off a 1.5 year layoff, too.
Bill Mott's second-time starter debuted at Tampa, the 9.
Second dam is Royal Delta, but that means a lot of turf pedigree. Did have a wide trip in the debut.
De La Cruz, several races that are among the fastest in this field.
Yeah, and can be forward as well. Adds blinkers, and you get an aggressive rider in Ricardo Santana.
I think he may want more distance. That's the problem with him.
Tis Fervor, Mott Jr. Alvarado, your Derby-winning connection.
Yeah, I mean, he's a crazy price at 16-1. The 6 feels like a more likely winner, but this is a wild price on the 11.
I still think Wonderfin could move forward. Does he have enough room to that first turn, Mig, to get position?
Well, it is a mile and 3/16, so they do have a very long run to the first turn to find
a softball question.
Find a place to fall in between flights.
4 minutes away from this 6. Let's bring in Jonathan Kenshin for more on the start of this pick 4 coming up.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to go with the 10, De La Cruz. This horse is putting blinkers on. I wish the horse was drawn a little bit more inside. That would make me feel a lot better about the situation. But what you can say about this horse is the last race, going the 9 furlongs on the synthetic down at Gulfstream, showing some speed there, that feels like a little bit of a prep, kind of a setup race for this one to get back to what this horse was doing basically all of the 3-year-old year, which is running in some of these longer distance turf races, 11 furlongs, 12 furlongs, 10 furlongs, 10.5. Obviously, Christoph thinks this is his best chance. Now, I think a lot of people will look and see, well, he looks like he might be, kind of a chandelier horse. Does he want to pass horses? He's third, he's second, he's third, he's third. But when you look at those prices, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When you look at the prices and see that he's 4-1, 9-1, there was 7-1. He's taken some money, but he's really just kind of running where he's supposed to run. He's kind of getting where he's supposed to get. I'm hoping maybe the blinkers will keep him in the race, keep him a little bit more involved. And with some of these horses, you're still kind of guessing whether or not they want to go this mile in 3/16. With the 10, you'd like to figure, or you'd like to think that De La Cruz will be fine to handle that. So with the combination of blinkers on, with Ricardo, I'm hoping that they'll get up, get over, be able to save a little bit of ground, and will stay better than the competition. I'll take the 10, De La Cruz.
So, yeah, Dan, let's go back to your point on De La Cruz. Yes, it's shown, obviously some of the better races going a little bit longer, for sure. But then there's some good efforts at a mile and a 16.
Price is going to makes it possible to play or play against anybody. And the knock on De La Cruz is, A, she probably wants more distance, or he does, excuse me, but also he's a Christophe Clement horse that's had 8 chances and been short prices at about half of them. And when you're a trainer like Christophe and you don't get him to win, it's more about the horse than it is about the training. And I don't think he's a bad play at 7-1. I just don't know if this is the right spot.
Well, I think they're all fair points, but 7-1 I think is a generous price. I like the fact, listen, Ricardo Santana is a good rider. PJ Campo has his book. He's got him in a lot of barns, different barns right away coming in here.
No, I think Ricardo's terrific. I really do. And, I think he's an aggressive rider, looks to get position. This horse does have blinkers on, so maybe he'll get better position. I'll tell you something. He's 7-1, and the 2 is 3-1. Now, what the 2 has going for him is he's lightly raced. He's only run once.
Right.
So he could have some real upside. But are you really telling me the 10's supposed to be 7-1 and he's supposed to be 3-1? Because his race isn't going to get it done here, Gun Battles. He's going to have to be, again, Barrel City, going to have to be a better horse, which he may well be.
Could be.
But he's a 4-year-old making his second start. Todd gelded him. I mean, look, he's not going to stay on stud. I understand gelding him. He probably helped him train the horse. But having said that, twice the price in the 10 for a horse that's better?
Run consistently faster.
Yeah.
And as Greg pointed out, they're starting at the top of the stretch, so it gives them a long run to the turn, so the outside posts aren't as bad.
Well, we'll see.
I do what I can. With more on De La Cruz, let's go to Maggie.
I kind of agree with the sentiment that it's taken a little too long for him to break through. But maybe, as Jonathan pointed out, the blinkers could be the great, improvement that we have been longing to see here from number 10, De La Cruz. Just a shortcut blinker, so not changing too much on him. Now, he did come in. He was a bit washy, a bit hot, and that's not untypical for him, to be fair. He has presented himself that way in the past. I just can't warm up to him. I get why he can win. He's just not my type of horse. One that has shown that he doesn't really want to get the job done, shown he wants to hang a little bit, gets himself a bit hot and worked up. He's just not my type of horse, but I can get taking that price on him. As we'll also take a look at the other Chad Brown in here, Mayor of Midnight. I do agree with Andy that, that race more forwardly dominated, and he was way too far back, and he did make up more ground than any as Cafe Le Pay was on the front end that day. Now, he didn't make as favorable of an impression as your favorite in here, number 4, Van Ginkel, just because he was still a little bit green, a little bit, just goofy, honestly, in the paddock, and a little bit more of a raw physical as well. So there's still some molding to do. There's still some development, I think, to be had from him. But again, I can see where there's some upside as he's only making his second start, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Here we go. Pick 4 pool, up and over $130,000. The 4 Van Ginkel, Chad Brown, Flavien Prat trying to go back-to-back here as we take a look at Gun Barrel City. Oran Ortiz Jr. with an inside post here for Todd Pletcher, start number 2. 5-2 on the board with that debut coming last year. So 4-year-old return, just start number 2 coming up, Mig.
Yeah, looks like he's trained forwardly, though. He adds, Lasix. He comes back as a gelding. I love those colors. The Bass Racing colors. It goes back to Avatar.
Wow.
Who won the Belmont Stakes. Those are the same colors. Yeah.
I have a picture cut out from the New York Times when Avatar, you probably may not remember this, he made his return after the Belmont Stakes in an allowance race. Willie Shoemaker flew into Belmont to ride him in the fall.
Really?
For the big races. I'll bring in the book and show
Yeah,
it to you.
I'd
And
like
a
to see
picture
that.
of him. It's a great picture because it's 2 horses doing it on the stretch, and one, their strides aren't synchronized. One of them is in a different gallop than the other one, so
right.
it's like 2 different. It's actually a cool picture. I'll bring it in. won the Belmont Stakes. People don't know, beating the terrific Foolish Pleasure, one of the most forgotten good horses of our lifetime.
Foolish Pleasure, Master Derby, Avatar, each won a leg of the Triple Crown that year.
Smiley Adams trained.
Pick
Master
4
Derby.
starts here. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Wonderfin set to move forward. Manny Franco. Wonderfin going in. All set. And they're off. Wonderfin with a nice break from the far outside. De La Cruz is in that early mix too. Bourbon for Toby is forwardly placed. And towards the inside there comes Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel and De La Cruz, they're going to press on, and they're the top two. Get over to the rail. Van Ginkel and De La Cruz still heads apart. Bourbon for Toby is under a tight hold in between horses with At the Rail. Gun Barrel City is now in 4th. Outwider in 5th is Wonderfin. Just leaping there, just really hard to handle there is the Hero Code. Now more settled, just got passed towards the inside by Tiz Verver. Towards the back end, Adventurist, and the trailer, Royal's Pride. Van Ginkel with a half length in front. De La Cruz is right there towards the outside, ready to pounce in. Gun Barrel City is towards the inside, is in 3rd. Saving all the ground there with a Bourbon for Toby to the outside here in 4th. Still trying to settle the Hero Code out in the center of the course. Right there in 5th, the shared 5th with Wonderfin, who's lost some ground. Mayor of Midnight moves through At the Rail, is now tracking that top quartet. Towards the back end comes Tiz Fervor, picking up a spot, Royal's Pride, and now the trailer, Adventurous. Less than a half mile to go, 48.55 for a half mile time, and Van Ginkel is the leader. Van Ginkel has a head advantage here of De La Cruz, and De La Cruz is ranging up towards the outside. A Bourbon for Toby is now looming up on the outside, 3 wide. Gun Barrel City waiting for room. Irad Ortiz Jr. at the rail. The Hero Code is now called upon for the effort. Wonderfin's all in. Mayor of Midnight from the back. Tiz Fervor has horse nowhere to go yet. They reach the top of the lane. Van Ginkel, De La Cruz. A Bourbon for Toby has come calling for the lead. A Bourbon for Toby now sprints for home, is in front, is quickly up by a length, almost a length and a half. Gun Barrel City is trying to get this leader. A Bourbon for Toby. Gun Barrel City is bearing down towards the outside. A Bourbon for Toby is trying to be game towards the inside. Gun Barrel City finding a touch more. Gun Barrel City, there's your winner. A Bourbon for Toby was 2nd, then Mayor of Midnight. Then came a photo of Van Ginkel with De La Cruz in 1 minute 54.41 seconds.
Gun Barrel City, start number 2, 4-year-old return for Todd Pletcher. Bass Racing and Irad Ortiz Jr. run down a big effort from long shot of Bourbon for Toby.
I have to tell you, I was rooting for a Bourbon for Toby, who was named for the late Toby Sheets, who obviously very popular here and very close friends of Maggie and Tom. But you know what? Irad got the right post, drawing the rail, but he did everything right on this horse.
Took full advantage of that post, got to save all the ground. The way he tipped out into the stretch was perfect, right? You make the corner and you angle out slowly, steadily,
Picture perfect ride.
very, very smooth. And I'm actually a little concerned right now.
What?
About Maggie's voice.
Oh,
Because,
yeah, I was
she had to be
really rooting for
yeah,
this
probably
guy to do
completely
well.
shredded.
Not just for Maggie and Tom, but also because the horse is named for
course.
Toby, who, as so many people know here, was such a popular person. And I think it's nice he's running because it's nice to remind people about Toby, too.
Really good effort in a runner-up finish here from that long shot at 15-1, 2-7, 6-10. Gun Barrel City, start number 2. Successful 4-year-old return to the races to get that maiden score with Irad Ortiz Jr.
And clear off in the Naira Betts Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga,
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
as the field turns for home,
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Union Rags, a proven sire with 6 Grade 1 winners. He has 3 Grade 1 winning juveniles, including Dancing Rags, Union Strike, and standout older horses like Express Train and Paradise Woods. His success continues with recent graded stakes winner Circle of Trust and multiple graded stakes winner and Grade 1 winner Power Squeeze. Union Rags, a proven Grade 1 sire, standing at Lane's End.
Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage here on America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm, 100 years doing the usual unusually well. It's pretty usual for this man right here to be getting his picture taken, Irad Ortiz Jr. on Gun Barrel City for Todd Pletcher and Bass Racing.
Clearly a much more professional horse with the gelding and a start under his belt coming off the layoff.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. How look at how well he just eases out to the clear, right? Makes the corner, had already saved all that ground, particularly in the first turn with that advantageous inside post. And this horse kept finding here. Great job by Todd Pletcher to have him ready off the bench. And think about this, Andy. Irad Ortiz has ridden over 300 wins a year for the past 10 years, and he's on pace to make it 11 years in a row with over 300 wins. That's 3,000 wins in 10 years.
No,
That's a torrid pace.
Well, it's because he's never taken a race off in his entire life. He's never gone a race that, I really don't care today.
Right.
Guy rides every race like his life depends on it. If you ever want to look up one of his greatest rides, in my opinion, is Bricks and Mortar in the Arlington Million. Watch that ride. I mean, he's given probably thousands of great rides, but that one really was a huge, great ride.
This race coming up, Irad Ortiz Jr. will have the rail again. He'll be on Ball Don't Lie the 1, moving to the Rob Atras barn. New York Bred's first level allowance race at 7 furlongs.
Yeah, I mean, if the Ball Don't Lie remembers the horse he was last year, he's going to win this race by a city block. I'm just a little worried about his return race, but he's way the horse to beat.
Yeah.
We're going to take a timeout. We have a stakes race coming up at Monmouth when we come back. The John J. Riley handicap, 6 furlong sprint, the huge favorite, No Sense, trying to win for the 8th time in his career.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage and the Hall of Champions banners. Haskell winners out of Monmouth. Some great ones have rolled right on through the Jersey Shore. And a great history at this racetrack. Rachel Alexandra.
She beat Summer Bird, who was the best 3-year-old colt in the country that year, like he was like a 20 claimer.
And then, of course, would go on to beat older males.
And
to cap
Munnings
things
was in there
off.
too, and he was no slouch.
John J. Riley handicap, 6 furlong sprint here, 3-year-olds and up, running for $85,000. And we'll get to the favorite in a moment. We start with Great Navigator, 7-2.
He's the logic. I thought this horse would be the second choice. See, right now, the third choice seems like a logical contender.
Here's Speaking we'll get to next door, a 7-time winner, though all those wins have come here in Monmouth.
Yeah, a horse that obviously shows an affinity for Monmouth and has a winning habit.
Comes in from Gulfstream, third start of the 6-year-old campaign. 10-1 here on Cas Sweet Heist.
Looks like an underlay.
Electric Eel, Carlos David trains.
Can I use that line? Looks
You
like
can-
an underlay
you can
as well.
steal my lines as much as you want.
There is Electric Eel.
No
Sammy
sense is a hunch
Camacho.
bet on this bet. This
No
desk.
sense. Looks incredibly tough. 7-5 on the favorite.
Can somebody explain to me why Forever Chocolate, the 7, is 3-1?
I cannot.
People that like chocolate?
Wow.
They should be spending their money on chocolate and not betting on him. Is this wild?
I don't understand this.
I mean, it
yet
feels...
The 1 and 2
Right.
should be the second and third choices in here.
It's not even close. It's the 6
Paco
with the 1
Lopez
and 2.
effect. Is it
Yeah.
that blown out of proportion there? Let's go to Paulie for more.
Yeah, it's a little blown out of proportion, guys. The one thing you can get here in Monmouth that you can look at are the fixed odds. And right now, the 7 is 10-1. So I would think that horse is going to float up. And Andy, I think the 1 will end up being your second choice. Now, the 6 in here, you know, it's very interesting. Eddie Owens has got the 1 and 2, but the 6 is in such good form. Now, Cathell Lynch, has had one runner here, and the horse did win nicely. This horse is in really good form, No Sense. 7-year-old by Golden Sense, and this is a 3-horse race. It's between the 1, 2, and 6. Nobody else can really run with these horses. The one thing in common with these horses, they all like the racetrack. The 6 is, 10 for 11 in the trifecta. And then when you look at the 2 Eddie Owens horses, I think the 2 goes, right? The 2's the one that leaves from the gate and challenges the 6, and maybe the 1 gets that candy trip from the inside. I would think that's how they want to plan it out, Eddie Owens. I didn't get to talk to Eddie. He was kind of spaced away, but I think Speaking goes to the front with Jose Vargas. And I think the 1 with Sammy Marin sits a really good trip. Again, Greg, it's been a racetrack where you just can't come 4 or 5 wide unless you get an unbelievable setup. The rail has been good again. That's why I'm thinking that the 1 could get a really good trip on the rail in here. And there you see the price drop down to 5-2.
Paulie, thank you. 2 minutes to post coming up. And No Sense is just in raging form right now, the 7-year-old.
Yeah, I don't think there's a massive argument against this horse. He also looks like he's the controlling speed. To be honest with you, he feels like an overlay at 6-5. I'm looking at the fixed odds wagering, and they have him just a smidge under even money. And I'm not saying he has to win, and I think that the 1 Great Navigator has a chance. But this horse is way the horse to beat.
I mean, he's just consistent, hard knocking, shows up, runs his race. Even when he doesn't win, he lets you know he's there. You got to appreciate horses like this. I like my people the way I like my horses, honest and hardworking. I like what I'm seeing from the 1 Great Navigator.
Yeah, 5-2 right now.
I liked him when he won the Hopeful, but that was a long time. He's only 5? Yeah. Thought that was like 30 years ago, Richie.
Yeah, Great Navigator who won the Hopeful and spectacular bid, several other stakes as well, and a name that's recycled. And
was he also a jury of yours? Was he like a Jimmy Kroll or somebody like
John
that?
Mazza.
John
Holly
Mazza.
Crest Farm.
There you go.
Right. Well, this horse bred by Holly Crest.
So they renamed the horse for a horse they had once?
John Mazza used to train for them. Isn't that correct?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I think you're definitely right about that.
Well, this horse, Great Navigator, was actually a 1-9 favorite when he met No Sense back in June of last summer.
He was at 5 cents to a dollar.
And he got beat.
Didn't hit the board.
No Sense ran second. He ran fourth. No Sense has since finished ahead of him again. We'll see what happens here as they meet for the third time. Let's go to JK for more on this John J. Riley.
Yeah, Wolfie, look, I tried hard to beat No Sense just because I thought he'd be a little bit of a shorter price, and who knows, before they get away from there, he might go under even money. He's just in great form. I mean, his last 3 races win this race. You look through his past performances a little bit more with the 6 No Sense. There is some races that are a little bit slower, some races that he's finishing 4th and 5th. But I think that there's excuses if you work your way through all of those, whether it be the wrong distance, whether it be being on the wrong part of the racetrack. I just think that No Sense is one that is drawn well as well, being outside of his main competition with the 1 and the 2. So I think he's got everything in his favor. And I guess if you wanted to make a case for the 1 Great Navigator, I don't have a problem with this horse. I'm not against the horse. But when you look at the prices that are currently on the board, if I'm going to get 6 to 5 on the horse that I think is the best, who's drawn the best, or I'm supposed to take the second best horse who's drawn the worst of the 2 horses and only get 2 to 1, I just need a better price on the 1 if I'm going to take on the 6. Now, that could all change when they pop away from there. We could be talking about the 6 being 4 to 5 and the 1 being 3 to 1, and then maybe there would be a different feeling. But as it stands right now, I'll go with the 6, No Sense.
And look, if the 6 runs any of the last 3 races, no one has a chance in here, do they?
I think he's just an hour and a half the horse to beat in here. And also the fact that you have the best horse who is also the controlling speed. It doesn't feel like anybody has anywhere close to the speed he has. And these are the same connections that owned Irish Warcry, right?
Yes, yeah. Getting back to, you have the 1 from Hollycrest and the 2 Speaking also from Hollycrest. Been a huge name in Jersey racing forever.
Yeah, forever.
Don't you think that Speaking goes all out to try to make the lead?
Yeah. He's got.
Well, he better. Because he's not as fast, I think, as the 6, but maybe he does.
But don't
No,
you think
I hear what you're
to
saying.
give both horses their best
but
chance?
it's not like he has no chance, the 2. How is the 2? I'd like to bet heads up, the 2 against the 7.
Yeah,
This is
certainly.
incredible.
Who is betting the
That the
7?
2 is 6 to 1 and the 7's 4 to 1.
Mystifying.
Do not understand this wagering.
Probably
but
would.
No Sense also, you
It's a
could argue,
reasonable
should
question.
be even shorter here.
I agree. I think No Sense should be odds on here.
John J. Riley handicap at 6 furlongs. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
2 back, No Sense. Forever Chocolate to the outside. We're ready to go. And they're off in the John J. Riley handicap. No Sense with an awkward break. Not sure if the gate opened, if he broke it open right when they sprung the latch there. But No Sense would have to do something special to win it after a very awkward beginning. In the meantime, Speaking is on the lead today, a length in front of Electric Eel. Great Navigator, 2 lengths off his stablemate in third with Forever Chocolate. Gap of 5, the Kaz Sweet Heist, and No Sense at the back. And the stewards have already posted the inquiry sign for that start involving No Sense. That'll come after the race, of course. They go into the far turn, Speaking, taking it to him. 2.5 clear now as he opens up around the forward turn. Electric Eel and an all-out drive second. So is Forever Chocolate. Great Navigator being asked to get into the race, but he's got some work to do to catch his stablemate, Speaking, who's 3 on top coming through the quarter pole. Great Navigator slipping inside of a weakening Electric Eel. Then Forever Chocolate. No Sense is trying to run on the grandstand side. Speaking is asked for his best. Great Navigator, still 3 behind him. No Sense has run a huge race here, is running on, but he's still 5 behind the front running Speaking, who took it to him from the word go, and he's going to win the John J. Riley handicap under Jorge Vargas Jr. Great Navigator was second. No Sense, the one word for him, unlucky, third, and then Forever Chocolate. But again, there is a steward's inquiry into the start involving number 6, No Sense.
Speaking with the win, race completely changed when the huge favorite, the 6, No Sense, held up in the gate.
Yeah, we don't know if it was the horse refused to come out or not without the head on. They did, and Matt Dinnerman did announce during the race, there is an inquiry posted, so we'll see if he's declared a non-starter. he would have obviously won this race by many lengths. But the two, you were right. Good aggressive ride by Jorge Vargas and wire the field easily.
Well, and what an effort by the favorite, no sense. But speaking, third year in a row, he's won the John J. Riley.
A little lucky to win it this year, but gets it done. Picture time. Again, let's go to Paul.
Yeah, I'm with winning trainer here, Eddie Owens, who goes 1-2 in here. This horse loves this racetrack, 8 for 11 over it.
This is his home.
Yeah,
This is where it all began for him. He loves it here. I'm just out of words today. He's just unbelievable.
When the 6 got left out of the gate, were you? I mean, you knew you were home.
I was home then.
Yeah.
Nobody to press us. I knew I was home.
Was that your plan to try to go with the 6 early and use the 1 a little bit?
He's going to have to catch us regardless. I'm going with him. I'm in the 2-hole. I got to leave there running.
Well, congratulations, Eddie. Congratulations. Run 1-2 in here, guys. And they're taking a look at this. The 6 in here either broke through the gate or something happened. He might be a non-starter in here, Greg. I think the stewards will make a decision. The more I keep looking at it, let me take one more look before I send it back to you. He kind of jumped the gate right before they sprung the latch. He might be a non-starter. I'll let you know here in a few.
Yeah, that's what the stewards are looking at right now. There's another look at the 6.
Yeah, if we could see the head-on again, it feels as though what Paulie's saying, watch the gates.
He definitely opened the doors before
Oh, for
the
sure.
start.
For sure. Now, is that a when that happens here, I believe it's disqualification because the ruling is that the horse was responsible for it happening. So he wouldn't be a refund.
But
he would be
up
disqualified.
in the hands of the starter.
Was he?
Yeah, because
was he
the
in the hands because
starter-
he broke the gate like that?
Right, he hit the doors, and the starter, the assistant starter's job is if the brake doesn't come, he's trying to keep that horse from running off down the racetrack. The brake came within a split second of him popping open the front doors, and as quickly as the assistant starter tried to release him, his hand was on the rein and kind of held him up, turned his head sideways.
I just want to say, another moment, I'm glad I'm not a steward.
Back to New York. We'll let you know the outcome of that decision. Post-parade here for the 7th. Here's Irad Ortiz Jr. Ball don't lie.
Be interesting to see if he breaks sharply after his last race, but his maiden win was a sight to behold. Somewhere in there's a stakes horse.
John Kimmel, Tourney Wade, interesting horse, getting back to dirt.
Getting back to dirt, experimented on turf, and he ran really well 2 back on dirt.
Uncle George had to start 2 back. Very impressive. Went backwards a little bit next time
Yeah,
out.
lower level races, but he's run some faster figs. He's not out of it.
Lane Leslie riding there for Chris Englehart. Prince of Truth, long shot, 33-1.
Yeah, it was claimed off of Linda Rice and moves up into allowance company, much tougher than what he's been facing.
Ducky Medwick won the debut.
Broke maiden nicely at 10-1. Not the fastest figure, though. We're just going to have to improve to handle this group.
Here's Swift Magic, George Weaver Barn.
Yeah, I mean, the last race was a step in the right direction. Butta, actually, who beat him, came back and ran well yesterday and improved dramatically.
Yeah, slight turn back in distance, too. And then here's Run and Score. Dexter Haddock in town to ride.
Yeah, turned back from 1 1/8 last time. Ran well going 6. Would be the Goldilocks effect, 7/8, just right?
He's my top choice in here. He was way against the track last time. It was a big speed track, and he really ran well to close there. I don't know if he can beat the 1 if the 1 shows up, so I'm going to bet him to win and bet at 1-8 exacta.
4-5 on the 1. There's Irad Ortiz Jr. So first try outside of the west coast of Santa Anita. Let's look back. Second start of his career when he broke his maiden.
Yeah, listen, this horse is running in open company in California. He's a New York bred, so now he gets to compete against New York bred restricted company for the first time, and he showed a lot of ability. The question I have, Andy, the comeback was not good. He didn't seem like he was training as aggressively before the comeback, although I think he's training much more aggressively since. And why do they put an apprentice rider on a horse that had shown this much ability? Like, I always question that because usually that means the horse isn't maybe training quite as well or traveling quite as well, so they put a younger rider on. it raises questions for me.
I don't disagree with any of that. Just to put the horse in perspective, his first race, he was dueling with Vlahos, who some may remember in his next start had the lead into the 16th pole in the Pat Day Mile and was brilliantly fast and very talented. Then he runs a 97 Beyer, and he ends up being 2-5 in the Las Barrera in his next start. I mean, this is a horse that's got real stakes quality ability, but you're right. They bring him out of the Apprentice. He doesn't get out. He breaks a step slow. He's incredibly sluggish. He's the complete polar opposite of the horse that he was before. Now, he'll probably have more speed today, but we're talking about a horse that's going to win if he runs his good races, but he's 4-5. How much do you want to trust that he's that horse? That's why I'm betting the 8, and I'll bet 1-8 to cover, because if the 1 runs his race, he'll win.
Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, taking a look here at your heavy favorite, number 1, Ball Don't Lie. Obviously, I don't know him. I don't know what he usually looks like prior to his starts. I will say this, though, as he does come off a bit of a freshening yet again, is that he came in hot and he remained a bit washy as well. Very aggressive once we saw Rod Ortiz Jr. climb up on him, and he has opted to stay with the pony just because this horse does seem to be quite up. That I don't know how to read it, because if I knew this horse, I'd be better inclined to make a definitive decision on what I think. Sometimes when horses get hot and washy like that, it nervous because we're concerned about something. And that would believe that we're going to see the act that we saw last time. Horses are like this because it's better.
All right, apologies. We'll try and get that corrected with Maggie's audio as soon as we can. 2-5, excuse me. Prices become a lot shorter here on Ball Don't Lie.
And there's really only 2 things to say. If he's able to find the form he had in the beginning of his career, he's going to win here. 2-5 might even be an overlay.
Sure.
But like you said, an Apprentice. Now, maybe you need a race, but they've shipped him here to run against New York Breds, which is probably where he should have begun his career, though the way he ran, maybe it wasn't. And there has to be some concern about that last race, and he's being bet like there's no concern. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But his training also did pick up, and one of the great things about Formulator is being able to go back and look at works over the last 2 years of this horse's career, and he absolutely started training faster. I obviously didn't get to see it, but time-wise, his training got considerably faster after that race off the bench.
But, you know, devil's advocate, too, almost a year away, you could forgive the one
I don't mind him losing.
effort.
It's the way he ran. It's the fact that this was a horse that, I mean, he was dueling with one of the fastest horses in the country last year in his debut. Then he comes in his next start. He's sluggish coming in. He didn't get badly left in there. He was just sluggish. And he's 13 lengths behind the pace. That is the polar opposite. That's more of the concern to me.
Corrected that audio with Maggie. Let's go back to her.
Let's hope, Greg. As I don't know when I cut out, but what I'm saying is basically the long and short of it when it comes to Ball Don't Lie is I don't love the fact that he's gotten a bit hot under the collar, and he does look as though he's carrying a bit of excess weight. So does that mean he needs to start? Possibly. Could he just be better than these horses? That's also a possibility, too. As we'll move on to number 2, Attorney Wade. I feel like that's a big number on him at 10-1 because his last start on the dirt was good. Visually, it really impressed me because he just ranged up like he was always going to win that race with Kendrick Carmouche aboard. And he's a little bit of an oddly put together horse in that he has this a little bit of a sway back, so he always looks heavier than what he probably is, but I can confirm in that now he's 3rd off the layoff. He looks fitter than what he did last time, so I think that's a good sign, and I like the way he warmed up, indicating that a return to the dirt is going to be beneficial. Moving on to number 7, Swift Magic. Don't like him on paper, but he's one that really caught my eye as he does step out of age-restricted company for the first time. Physically, he doesn't look like a 3-year-old. He looks older. He's bigger, robust type. So, like I said, I don't love him on form. He has to get faster, but he looks as though he's doing well here for George Weaver. And Run and Score, I want to like. I was just totally underwhelmed with what I observed from him in the paddock. Just wish he was carrying a bit more weight and conditioning, especially across his top line. But 11-1 is a really good price on a horse that I think fits with these, has faced some tough company in the past. Last time that race dominated on the front end, made up more ground than anyone. And so, yeah, I think he might be Goldilocks, Richie.
Yeah, I mean, I like the 7/8 for this horse. You know, you go from 1 1/8 to 6 furlongs and run as well as he did. You know he has the stamina to stay, and 7 furlongs can be a testing distance. Well drawn outside, too, no, Andy?
I thought he ran very well last time. You know, he's against the track, and these are the kind of horses I like to bet on. I am fully cognizant that if the one runs his race, there's nothing he can do. He can't beat him. But I thought his last race was good. I moved the 7 up because he lost a horse that improved dramatically yesterday.
Well, apparently, betting public, they have no concerns. 1-4 on Ball Don't Lie as we go to JK.
Yeah, Ball Don't Lie. This is the reason that you got to pick 3 available. His 3 of his lifetime races were sensational. Will win this one. Even his quote worst race, I think he probably had an excuse. He didn't run that well. He didn't run that bad, but he didn't have Lasix. I think he's better with Lasix. I think he's going to be extremely tough to beat. He's got the speed to work out a trip from the inside.
He had Lasix last time, to be fair. I mean, I think it's important to note that.
2-5 for the return. Was it just a blip on the comeback? Will we see the Ball Don't Lie? We saw the first 3 starts of his career. If we do, yeah, everyone's in trouble here.
Yeah.
Here we go. 7th, Belmont at the Big A. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Steps forward. Swift Magic. Eric Cancel. They go in. Run and score to the outside. Last to load. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Slow start there for Ducky Medwick, and shortly after the start, that was Attorney Wade unseating the rider. Ball Don't Lie got caught in that mix, so your favorite unseated at the start was Kendrick Carmouche, Attorney Wade. Kendrick is right up on his feet. He is up on his feet. Loose horses at the back end of the field, but all kinds of trouble at the start. Uncle George is in front. Prince of Truth is towards the outside. It's going to be a close-up second. Just in behind them, it's a lineup of 3. At the rail is Ducky Medwick, who had a slow start, has moved up. Run and Score has moved up to the outside as well. It's in between horses. There comes Swift Magic. Ball Don't Lie is not having a good time of things right now. Irad Ortiz Jr. is trying to straighten up Ball Don't Lie after the trouble at the start. Is starting to put it together now. And again, the loose horses at the back end of the field. Unseating the rider was the 2. Kendrick Carmouche up on his feet. Appears to be okay. Approaching a quarter mile left to go. 46.21 for that half-mile time. Uncle George towards the inside. Prince of Truth is ready to challenge. Run and Score is to the outside of them. Also trying to rally on is Ducky Medwick. Ball Don't Lie is starting to pick up rivals now, and Swift Magic towards the back end of the field. The leader is still Uncle George towards the inside. Run and Score is the one making up ground towards the outside. Run and Score is trying to push on by. Run and Score is now put a neck in front. Uncle George battles on towards the inside. Run and Score will get the victory. There's Uncle George. Ball Don't Lie gets up there for 3rd. Then came Prince of Truth, Ducky Medwick, and Outriders looking to get to the loose horse, who's at the back end of the field right now.
Well, good news. We heard from Chris Griffin, Kendrick Carmouche up and walking under his own power after being dumped from Attorney Wade. Run and Score the win at 8-1.
Well, first of all, right, let's say the only thing that matters here is that Kendrick and Attorney Wade are okay. As long as that's the case, then we'll talk about the race. I want to see the start again because I don't think the 1 was breaking, even if I don't think the 1 was that slow because of the 2. It didn't help him. But he seemed to break slow anyway, and just a different horse. Now, listen, I got a little lucky here. I bet the 8. Uncle George should have won this race. I mean, he got dueled in the ground by Prince of Truth, who backed up. This was a perfect trip for this horse.
It really was. And listen, turning back to the 7/8 here, you know, had a 1 1/8 race, 6 furlongs, back to 7/8. It was a perfect. Now, yeah, keep an eye. Obviously, the 2 stumbles, but the 1,
he's slow. I don't think that cost the 1
no,
that
he
I'm
broke
not,
slowly
yeah,
anyway.
It seems like, and when you put it into conjunction with what he did last time, you know what I mean? If he had been speeding all his races, you'd probably say, well, he didn't break a little bit and he got intimidated. But given he basically did what he did last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, very sluggish early, and then Irad was on him early. You know, obviously
over the top. Irad.
Yeah, he's not jumping. He's not pushing off. Horses don't pull themselves. They propel themselves. And obviously, he's just not launching himself the way he did in his first 3 starts.
No.
Great to hear that Kendrick was up and walking. We'll try and get more information. But yeah, it goes up and over the top of Attorney Wade, who dumps him here. 8-3-1-4 finish. Run and score. Dexter Haddock, Miguel Rodriguez barn. 5th career win for this 5-year-old son of Run Happy.
Seize the Gray wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
The only major U.S. 2-year-old sale held over a dirt surface, Mid-Atlantic May, continues to produce graded stakes winners across the globe and on all surfaces. Recent grads include Eclipse champion Straight No Chaser, brilliant winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, as well as this year's Riyadh Dirt Sprint at the Saudi Cup, plus Grade 1 winners Full Count Felicia and Sacred Wish. The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale, May 19th and 20th in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Run and Score. Upset in the 7th. Wins at 8-1. Back at Monmouth. John J. Riley handicap speaking. Little assist with the huge favorite not getting out. No sense. And takes advantage with the W here. We're in a circle lead-in, brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale to be held May 20th in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be? $7.40 for the win.
He was 6-1 going to the gate, yes, when we were talking about it. I'm going to disagree. Listen, maybe there are different rules in New Jersey, but either the 6 should have been disqualified or been declared a non-starter.
Completely agree.
One of them, I'm not saying I'm sure which the right case was, and maybe the rules are very different there, but I know around here he would have been one or the other.
Well, he definitely popped his stall doors open a split second before the start, and then it appeared to me, through no fault of the assistant starter, that he still had a hold of him, so it turned his head and he got completely left. I agree with you. I'm shocked that he just, he finished 3rd, and we'll leave him at that. I think he should have been a non-starter personally.
Either a non-starter or disqualification. It can't be neither. To me, that's just not right.
Strange. But speaking able to take advantage, congrats to the Connections. Back here in New York, Run and Score Dexter Haddock again, Miguel Rodriguez in 8-1 here with this upset on a heavily bet favorite who now back-to-back starts has just not gotten out like he used to.
Yeah, he's got some issues because Ball Don't Lie, he still actually ran pretty well when you consider the start.
Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, as we had that untidy start when it comes to, sorry, the sun is like completely blinding me here. I'm just gonna move over a little bit. But good news is that Attorney Wade, while he did race loose behind the rest of the field, he was apprehended on the racetrack and he looks A-okay. Kendrick Carmouche, who was unseated at the start, he did go down to first aid to be checked out. It was good news when we heard Chris Griffin, of course, say he popped right up onto to his feet. Any more updates, I will bring them your way, guys. But it's not a great situation, certainly at the beginning of this race.
All right, thank you for that update, Maggie. We move on to this 8th here on the turf at a mile and a 16th. New York Bred's first allowance condition group. We have a 3-5 favor right now. Rhetorical William Walden coming back for the 4-year-old return after 2 starts back as a 3-year-old. Blinkers coming off a horse who last time out was ranked and was incredibly far back early.
Broke slowly in that race. He's good, and he's the horse to beat. 3-5 is a little bit of a little bit of over betting, but he's the horse to beat. People should notice that the 1, whose name I think Greg can pronounce, got into the race, and he's currently 23-1. He's a major contender in here. I like Alan Turing, and not only because he's one of the greatest men in history.
Probably responsible for saving more lives
than any single person in the history of the world. And he made the computer in his spare time.
Yep. Broke the code to win the war. Coming up, Belmont winning trainer Kelly Breen with that 2011 Belmont Stakes victory. We'll relive it when we come back.
Who's the best? Who's top horse?
Football gods, the most valuable trophy in American sports.
The dream lives within all of us. When fueled by passion, patience, and perseverance, a spark of greatness. Come, dream with us at Three Chimneys.
Ruler on Ice is in between horses. And Animal Kingdom is fourth as the field turns for home. Shackleford is wilting. Brilliant Speed is coming up now. And Brilliant Speed and Ruler on Ice and Stay Thirsty. And Animal Kingdom is sputtering in the final furlong of this year's Triple Crown. They're coming down to the finish. Ruler on Ice, Stay Thirsty, and Brilliant Speed. It's a shocker in the Belmont. Ruler on Ice is the winner.
2011 edition of the Belmont Stakes. Kelly Breen and Ruler on Ice with that upset.
Beating Stay Thirsty, who won the Travers, and I want to say Jim Dandy, and finished second in the Jockey Club. Stay Thirsty is one of those very underrated horses because he ran in the shadow of Uncle Mo, whereas Ruler on Ice, a good horse. You know, he was third in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Kind of a forgotten good horse.
Yeah, Kelly Breen got the money here. Trainer, always liked the hats he wore.
Yes,
you know, right?
yes.
Styling.
Yes.
And Jose Valdivia.
Wow.
With a Triple Crown win.
Brilliant Speed, third, whose name was a bit ironic considering who he was.
Now, Kelly Breen has the horse to beat in the race coming up next on the grass at 1:16. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, you're right here, Greg, with Leo Monte in here. A horse that was running at Tampa. He wintered at Tampa, but he's kind of horse that's all or nothing, right? He's 7 for 30 lifetime with only 1 second and 1/3, and I wonder if he needs the lead to win. So if you want to take a short price on this horse, I don't think he's going to be in front because you have Paco Lopez and the horse coming out of sprints in here. In the 7, Just Comply, who I would think this is going to be cutting the fractions here. Now, Leo Monte, I think, can sit maybe the trip in here and probably can maybe put Just Comply away. A horse that's been away since September. Mike Deeney and Paco Lopez are really good together, and this horse has been working great guns. So I would look for the 7 to go to the front end, and then the 5, Leo Monte, to lay off, and hopefully he can pass horses. I just don't know if you want to take that short of a price. I landed on the 2 in here, Post Command, a horse off a little bit of a layoff, but significantly better with Chuck Spina put this horse on the turf. The last race at Meadowlands, this horse got left and made up a ton of ground. I think, you know, with the inside draw with Sonny Leon, who's been riding well so far at this meet, you're getting a good price at 12-1. I'd rather take the 2 over the 3 any day, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. I just think the 2's a better value at 13-1, but they're going to have to beat the 5 in here, Greg. But I'm going with Post Command.
I don't think I can compete with that, but I'm betting on Optical Bijou, the 8, who will be drifting up from the 4-1 is 10-1 in the fixed odds. It's strictly a pedigree play. This horse is a half to 2 horses that ran the turf. They both improved dramatically. And their sire was Posse, who's not exactly known as a great turf stallion. And while Shaman Ghost is a 9 to 10% turf sire, he's also a ghost zapper, so there's turf in there. And this horse has a pedigree that suggests he can move up, so I'm going to take a flyer. He'll be much bigger than 8-1 when they leave the gate. 4-1, I mean.
First time on the turf, yeah, from that outside post for the 8, stretching back out as well. So a lot of things going on with this Ben Perkins Jr. runner. No question, the 5, Leo Monte, coming off that win. And even the start before that, either of those last 2 starts does make him the one to beat. Let's go to JK for more.
Yeah, guys, look, I think the 5's probably the winner here, but in a field like this, is wide open. I do want to talk a little bit about the 8, Optical Bijou, I guess is what we're calling this one. It just feels like, you know, there's a couple of siblings that have won on the grass, and we touched on this yesterday on the show, so if you heard it yesterday, forgive me for repeating it. But a lot of times when you look through the turf pedigrees, and Andy made some great points that when he gets it back, I'm sure he'll pop on those, but you want to look to the dam side, I think, is probably the most prominent side to look, the starting point. There is some clues you can get from the male side of the family as well, but you want to just see if there's siblings that have run well on the grass. And a lot of times, the cheap way to look is, did these other horses win on the grass? But I think that is not always the most important. You just want to know, could they run on the grass a little bit? Or if you look at a horse that wasn't very good, that was a sibling, that ran 10 times and was no better than 4th, but is their best speed figure they ever earned on the grass, meaning they were better on the grass than they were on the dirt? I think anytime you could find any type of clue that a horse could run on the grass, it could help you when you're trying to find a sibling. This horse had a sibling by the name of Golden Earrings who ran well enough on the grass and got some okay numbers on the grass to make me think that, you know, maybe Optical Bijou just needs the grass here. Has some okay dirt races, and maybe just the grass is going to make this one happy.
We will find out. 5-1 right now is the 5 moves to even money. Did you see any redeeming qualities with the 4 I'd mentioned, Vesparo? It's a big price right now.
No, but I'm not. He was in 19-1 shot. I don't like him. I wouldn't talk anybody off 18-1 shots.
You're dead to me.
Well, I've been dead to you for years. Who are you kidding over there?
Now, look.
I'm taking a flyer that the 8 improves. He obviously has to, but there's no argument that the 5's the horse to beat, right? I mean,
No
that's
question.
It's an even money shot who's probably supposed to be a heavy favorite. Though fixed odds has him at 8-5 right now, and yet he dipped to 3-5. So I'm curious how this thing moves because the board can make some real late moves.
Kind of an interesting claim by Kelly Breen, who we just watched win the Belmont with Ruler on Ice. You know, this is a New Jersey bred. This race is restricted to New Jersey breds. Claimed for 10.
Sharp
Yeah,
claim.
Really
By his
sharp
connections,
claim.
yeah, USA Thoroughbreds. Yeah. I'm always wondering, you see state breds running out, and occasionally see with a New York bred that's not running and somebody claims them and bring them. And a lot of times they just don't run them as state bred races.
So Leo Monte, Kelly Breen off the claim with Joe Bravo, the 5, the huge favorite here in the 8th. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
The outside post, Optical Bijou to round out the field. We're ready to go. And we're off. Leo Monte off a little bit slowly, and he settles towards the back of the field in the first 16th of a mile. Visparo on the lead. Just Comply parked outside of him. Mike Robruski inside. Farther in on the rail is Irish Boulam. And Irish Boulam is ahead in front of Visparo with 1 lap to go. Mike Robruski tugging pretty hard here, losing the 3rd spot to Just Comply, who's on the outside. Leo Monte, in the meantime, joins Mike Robruski, who's a little more settled down as she corners into the turn here. A deep Optical Bijou, 3rd last. Then Post Command, he's 2nd to last. See the Truth, can see them all, and he's 8 lengths behind the front runner. Irish Boulam, a long shot, is ahead in front of Visparo. These two get acquainted on the front end. 1.5 lengths to Just Comply. Placed perfectly today by Paco in 3rd, in a good position, racing alone. Another 1.5 lengths to Mike Robruski and Leo Monte, who's on a hold, 3 off the pace. Another 2 lengths to Optical Bijou. Post Command niggled along with a half mile to go, still 2nd to last. Now joining Optical Bijou on the inside, and See the Truth is still the trailer. He's kept on the outside going into the forward turn run as they go into that turn. Visparo, Irish Boulam, head and head for the lead. Leo Monte gets the go signal by Joe Bravo, and there he goes all the way to the front. Leo Monte went right to the lead at the 3/8 pole, and he's the one to reel in. Visparo trying to keep pace with him. Irish Boulam is weakened. So is Just Comply, is completely given way with no excuses. See the Truth is trying to run on here from the back. He's 3rd now with 2 lengths to gain. Mike Robruski inside of him. Leo Monte, furlong to go, neck in front. Mike Robruski coming to split horses. See the Truth. Here's the favorite, Leo Monte, being swarmed on both sides. He's got a head in front, though. Leo Monte coming to the finish. He got it. Leo Monte just got it by a nose over See the Truth, Mike Robruski, and Visparo.
Never a doubt. Leo Monte, this got tight late. But back-to-back wins now, and a 5-time winner on the turf here in Monmouth.
Well, that's that patented 5-wide premature move that Joe Bravo is so well known for. Almost bit him in the butt here, but he held on.
Man, what a game effort. Leo Monte, though, this horse challenges his inside to his outside after making that early brush, and he just refused to lose.
Back on the turf when we return to Belmont at the Big A, and that is the current 4-5 favorite, Rhetorical, getting set for his 4-year-old return next.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Mandaloun. And Mandaloun wins.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
Back on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part by Gainesway Power. Passion. Performance. As we get set for race 8, Belmont at the Big A. And there's the big favorite, 4-5, Rhetorical. And Arad Ortiz Jr. will be aboard for the 4-year-old return.
His debut was extraordinarily impressive. He broke slow last time. He ran well, all things considered, but he has now been off for 9 months, and he's a wildly heavy favorite from an outside post. He is the horse to beat, and he's pretty good, but in there he is breaking about a length and a half too slow and sort of takes him out of the race. But having said that, we're going to take a look, maybe a video later, of the 6 Alan Turing, whose performance was also wildly impressive last time. This horse is pretty good, but 4-5 off a long layoff from an outside post?
Part of that's who's aboard.
Yeah, well, how's that worked out for him today so far, to be fair?
Yeah,
you know?
Not so great.
Right. And he was good last time. He did hang a little bit, but I think he had a right to, given the trip he had, Richie.
Yeah, I know. I would agree with that. But what kind of trip does he get from that post this time? And does he get, you know?
He's got the right rider to deal with it as well as possible, but he's still got that post, and it's not necessarily always a rider's fault. When you get in some trouble from the outside, he's also got a break. And, you know, you can say the same thing for the horse I like, Alan Turing, but he's 18-1 right now.
18-1, that's too big a price.
I think that people are making a mistake on this horse, but maybe I'm crazy.
Here's our post parade, so we'll start with an also eligible that gets in who's interesting here, Fight-A-Like Caillou.
Say it again. I just love that you know how to pronounce
It's a mixture of all the names.
I
of
know
the
it is. We've been through this. He's got races that can win this race. He's a crazy price.
Yeah, here's Calling Card getting back on grass.
Yeah, a couple decent turf efforts, particularly his second start.
A-lister, huge number.
I think they need to run him at 6 furlongs. Far and away, the best race he's ever run was 6 furlongs in the turf. Why don't they go in a sprint?
Leo's Reward, David Donk, Manny Franco.
Yeah, nice effort last time getting to the turf sprint, and now he stretches out.
Gary Contesto, Sky Masterson.
Yeah, he's a cut slower than these as he gets in with New York breds, back in New York breds.
Here's Alan Turing coming off a maiden win.
Yeah, maiden win and vastly improved off his third, but half to Maximuva, who stakes place.
We got to show his race.
And that was his turf debut. He won. Here's a 7 Solo Empire.
He's just not good enough on paper. That's a big price.
Calvin's Ride.
Has to get faster.
You'll be on the rail, right?
Here's Landauer's 0 for 2 in the money in the turf.
You know, I'd like to see my friend Steve Bick do well with DT Stable, but it's not going to happen here.
Charles J. Flavian Pratt on board for the 4-year-old comeback.
Yeah, nice effort to break maiden last October and get Flavian Pratt sticking.
That horse is live.
Mocrisa back on turf.
Has turf pedigree and should be forward, I think.
Here's the 4-5 favorite with Arad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, it was very good on debut. Followed it up with a good effort and returns now. Takes the blinkers off. Has to overcome that outside post. Does have the right rider.
What are you seeing with this short price favorite as he comes back now as a 4-year-old, Maggie?
I'm a little scared to talk about him, guys. His trainer is less than 5 feet away from me, who is also running him because Rhetorical is a little bit of a handful. I remember up in Saratoga, he gave his connections fits and getting the tack on, especially in that second race. Well, today with another year under his belt, and as Will just said, his 6'2", 220 frame on his head as well, it did keep Rhetorical at bay. And furthermore, as I always say, the environments between Aqueduct and Saratoga are entirely different. So you will see horses be just that much more calm and composed here in this paddock. Now, he comes back. He looks strong. He looks about the same as what he did last year. There hasn't been much change in him, which kind of fair. You know, he was 3 last year when he started his career. Now he's 4. And 2 with the not this timeline. They often don't change that much. They kind of stay a little smaller, a little more compact types of runners. So I also caught up with Will earlier when I saw him walking in today and asked about the blinkers coming off and his propensity to brake a bit slow, at least in those 2 efforts. And he said, look, as far as the braking slow, it's just him. We have worked extensively with him in the morning, and it doesn't seem to change it that much. What we wanted to do with the blinkers coming off is prevent him from trying to run off once he got left. So therefore making that one run, not making it difficult on his rider and expending too much energy. So we'll see what we get. Obviously highly regarded in his young career so far. Moving on to number 1, Fidele Cayute for Juana Villa in here. I think this horse getting, now coming down in odds a bit, but getting a little bit ignored. He has an extensive resume, and he's running particularly well at times. Granted, his last win did come on the dirt, but against, you know, not the greatest field in the world. But you go back to his start at Gulfstream in that Tropical Park Derby when he posted an 87 Beyer. I mean, he has run some fast races, and he looks fantastic. Relative to what I saw from him last year as a 3-year-old, didn't always carry his weight well. You know, he had an extensive campaign, so rightfully so. But also he would get kind of hot and a little bit too fizzy. Beautifully composed today, really, you know, showing some class, and athletically just has filled out. So I like what I'm seeing from him, especially coming back against this New York bred field. Moving on to Alan Turing. Well, full disclosure, I don't generally bet when I'm working, but I wanted to talk about this horse because there was such a night and day difference between his, you know, physical appearance and his behavior from his first start to his second start. So much better composed, and 2, he has a turf pedigree, as you guys mentioned, and he looks like a turf horse. And so I couldn't resist putting some money on him when the producer at the time said there wasn't enough time to come down to me. So, Alan Turing, thank you. And he's a big price again, and he looks sensational, and he's behaving and looking the exact same as what he did when he broke his maiden back here on April 25th. So, Andy, please go right ahead with Alan Turing at 19-1. And then Charles J coming back here for his 4-year-old Bow. He's one that took a while to develop, never looked that athletic, a bit backwards looking, but he really put it together in that final effort. He did want to lug in a little bit. So watch how Flavien Prat, who does know him, kind of, you know, handles him through this stretch. But really looking the part coming back here now as a 4-year-old, Greg.
So 1-2 favorite. In the return here, Rhetorical, that price has gotten a lot shorter. But here's Alan Turing, 19-1.
This is a tougher field, but this was extremely impressive. He's the number 9 horse, so watch him at the start. He gets left. Kind of similar to the way Rhetorical did last time. And now the jockey steadies him back, and he's 3rd to last. But not for long, because he's going to make a big 4-wide brush, and he's going to be hanging the lead in about 3 seconds. So he gets pushed out 4 wide, going to lead. This is the kind of horse you bet on at a big price with some pedigree, and you say to yourself, well, maybe I made a smart bet here, but I'm going to be betting this one back next time, because he's got no chance with a trip like this. He just keeps on going wide the whole way. He's fighting wide, 3 wide, 4 wide the whole way with no cover, which is not the way you want to run in turf races. And he just runs away from these horses like they're in a different race than him. And I should point out, the second place finisher was a first-time starter for Christophe Clement that was bet down to even money. So obviously there's some feeling that that horse has some real ability. And this horse beat him like a drum.
Well, with that trip.
That's what I'm saying, because it got a little closer at the end, but given the trip, he might have been 7 lengths the best in this race. Listen, this is a new ball game. You missed him at 50-1 last time, but he's almost 20-1 today. And I don't understand why there's just sort of this feeling that, like, okay, he beat up on some maidens last time. He can't beat these horses. Maybe he can't, and he better not get left again, and he better not get that trip again. This horse was crazy impressive, and I cannot resist a big price.
I think you make a compelling case from particularly at the price. I mean, that was a huge effort. Turf races are not won that way, and especially making that early wide move into the first turn. Don't you think the one horse is getting completely overlooked here?
Yeah, we've said this. This happens with horses getting off the AE list.
Yeah.
And this horse, I mean, there's a very strong argument that he's, along with the favorite, the horses to beat, that there's a strong argument he's the second likeliest winner of this race.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's 12-1. Absolutely crazy. I mean, he's got several races that are as fast as the fastest race Rhetorical ran. And he's done it several times, and he's done it against better company.
Well, I guess the idea, though, Rhetorical is slightly raced, only 2 starts.
Sure,
Maybe
there's upside.
More, right,
yeah.
more upside, right? But if he can work out a trip, the one horse at 12-1 is very attractive to me.
Junior Alvarado will be aboard from that far outside post. Mile and a 16th coming up. Interesting race where you mentioned Alan Turing. Again, 15-1 on the 6. 13-1 on Fight Light Coyote from that far outside post, the one that does get into this race, but Rhetorical for the return with Irad Ortiz Jr., the 2-5 heavy favorite. Here in the 8th, let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Sky Masterson, Mokrisa. A few more left to load. Rhetorical. 2 out. Solo Empire. Solo Empire steps forward. And Fida Light Coyote to the outside. Fida Light Coyote goes in. All set. And they're off. Good speed towards the inside from Leo's Reward. And the pink cap has got early supremacy. And Fida Light Coyote from a far outside draw is trying to cross over and challenge for that early lead. Mokrisa towards the inside, but Fida Light Coyote will now clear. It's Fida Light Coyote who's up by 3/4 of a length. Little Keen trying to take back there is Mokrisa. Rhetorical finds a nice stalking position, is taken second. Right there in 4th comes Solo Empire, tucked in between horses. Outriders A-Lister. Leo's Reward is at the rail, going to save all the ground here in 6th. Sky Masterson is towards the outside of that runner. Then further back in the field, it's Alan Turing, who's traveling there in tandem with Charles J. Towards the back end, Calvin's Ride. The 2 trailers, Calling Card and Landauer. They work up the backstretch, and Fida Light Coyote has been passed. Posted opening quarter was 22-4. It's Fida Light Coyote with a neck advantage. Rhetorical right to the outside is going to take back. Fida Light Coyote wanted the front end. In behind them, it's Mokrisa. In between horses comes Solo Empire at a big number. A-Lister 3 wide in that group. Leo's Reward is to the inside still of Sky Masterson. No move yet. Alan Turing, Charles J. Calling Card, second to last. That's Calvin's Ride, and Landauer has trailed throughout. Fida Light Coyote is ahead in front. Rhetorical is right to the outside, is ready to pounce, and here comes Rhetorical to the outside. Rhetorical and Irad Ortiz Jr. now gets the cue and kicks away easily so far. Fida Light Coyote is trying to battle on. Mokrisa is trying to run on 2. Not much running from behind as Rhetorical is just opening up here. Rhetorical is dominating here, approaching a final 16th, is 4 in front. It is all Rhetorical. No question. That's your winner. Rhetorical wins it over Fida Light Coyote, then came Mokrisa and Charles J. in 1 minute 41 seconds flat.
Rhetorical, easy time here under Irad Ortiz Jr. for the 4-year-old return.
No, he was an hour the best, and he ran to his 2-5 odds. We talked about the 1 as the second likeliest winner, and it turned out he was. He ran very well to be second, but he couldn't beat this monster today. And I'm going to give my 6 another chance. He never really had a clear run at any point in this race. But he wasn't winning.
No,
or even running
Rhetorical
second.
was very, very good off the bench. Great job by Will Walden. And he always, when he was able to break clean and get forward position, the 1 cleared off, and he set off his hip, it was basically over.
12, 1, 11, 10. Another win for Irad Ortiz Jr., 2-5 favorite. Convincing victory here in the 8th. We'll take a timeout. Prices when we come back.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
At the line, War of Will. That's a photo for the win.
Will then and Vince Cheminot take the Jimmy Durante.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage. Real quick, we're at Monmouth right now looking at the odds for the nightcap. There is an inquiry at Belmont of the Big A. Finished 12, 1, 11, 10. So we'll let you know what that's all about in a moment. This race to close out the card in the Jersey Shore 6 furlongs, $25,000 maiden claiming race, which we'll talk more about in a moment. First, let's go to Paul with a special guest.
Pleasure to be here with the general manager here at Monmouth Park, John Himes, a very good friend of mine. This is your 28th year?
28 seasons, yes. Lots of jobs, lots of different titles. Same messy office, but it's all good.
Yeah, we had to clean the office up a little bit. John had to put a jacket on, too. He's so well made up. But, John, you know, we were talking about the partnership with Naira Bets, but let's talk about the first couple weekends. It was really, really well drawn, at least for Mother's Day, too.
Oh, without a doubt. Unfortunately, with the turf, we had to lose two days of turf racing. We're back on today. The last race, Maiden 16, they handled quite a bit of money on that. Going back, though, last week, Mother's Day was gangbusters. That might have been our first Mother's Day in years where we had really nice weather, 15,000 people, a record handle, and hopefully that's just the start of what's to come.
And then we got Memorial Day next weekend. Will there be food trucks out there next weekend?
Food trucks definitely next week, and Memorial Day is usually our standard kickoff to the season, so over the 3-day weekend, we could have 50,000 people for sure.
Well, it's a pleasure to be around John. And I'll tell you how good John is. I came in the office yesterday to give him a little talk, and he looked at me and said, you got something on your tie. You got coffee on your tie. So John generously gave me this tie, and I didn't put any coffee on it, John. So here's it back. I wore it yesterday on air, and I got a lot of compliments on it.
This was the most expensive tie, the one you pick off the door. No chance I paid for it. It was a gift.
I picked the most expensive tie. But, Greg, sometimes when you got that taste, you just got that taste.
Well, I'm used to Paul pulling that maneuver, borrowing ties from me all summer long at Saratoga, which I'm sure more to come this year.
I can't say anything because I borrowed this tie from you today.
So
I got about
happy to be there for
I got
you.
about 150 ties at home if anybody needs any ties.
Some big dates right around the corner. Naira Bets Pegasus. And then, prep for the Naira Bets Haskell United Nations Tremendous Day of Racing, July 19th.
Yep, at a great racetrack.
Proud to have them on our air. Back at Belmont, and it's unofficial still, but the inquiry has gone down. So 12, 1, 11, 10.
We may never. By the way, I just want to say Maggie did talk horse with me today, and I think she picked the 11 second or third. So anyone can come up with a 2 to 5 shot, who I believe she picked actually, but that was one hell of a call, and of course almost 100 to 1 getting third here. So great call.
Well, Maggie standing by with the winning trainer, Rhetorical, back into the winner's circle.
Yeah, here with Will Walden. And yes, people, I'm not that tall. As you can see, a very tall gentleman next to me. But Will, talk a little bit about just the high hopes that you've had for Rhetorical since the beginning of his career, but the kind of long, winding road it's been to get him to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a while. He was with a few other people before me, and he came to us right after the spring meet at Keeneland, and I think we had an abscess we had to miss a work for, but other than that, I mean, super straightforward. He loves Keeneland. That's where he's at now. He just shipped up this week. Seems to really thrive there, and just gave him the winter off. Couple ticky-tack things we had to take care of, but nothing major, and he's just kind of blossomed. He's extremely talented. I mean, a little forward today, but at least he broke well, and just excited. Didn't work him that much coming into this race. Don't think we had him all the way tight, but super impressed with the way we finished up.
So you kind of said to me you weren't expecting him to be that close because he has shown the propensity to break a bit slow. So was that a feather in his cap in a step forward, considering he was able to be more forwardly placed today?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a ton of speed. He's a turf horse that can work in 47 and 2 on the bridle, on the dirt. So he's got a natural quickness about him, and it kind of comes with it, like you alluded to in the prelims. He's a compact, kind of speedy-made horse, and he's not able to use that if he breaks a step slow. But if he can learn to break, which it seemed today he's kind of learned to do, he can use that speed to lay close and have 1 or 2 horses in front of him turning for home.
Talk about putting the bib on yourself and running him today.
Yeah, he was extremely tough in Saratoga. I thought we were going to get scratched the second time. I mean, he was a maniac. So, I didn't want to be 1,000 miles away saying, well, I wish I would have been there. Right. So I decided to get on a plane. I know the owners. I can bill them for it. And Yeah, we'll go home.
AKA Dad.
Yeah. So anyways, just wanted to be here and, wanted to do it myself. Wanted to see him through. We put in a lot of work. Everybody at the barn puts in a ton of work and loves this horse. Didn't want it to go wrong before it ever started.
Rightfully so, and well done. Impressive victory today.
Thank you.
All right, well, Walden, guys, he's not afraid of hard work, that's for sure.
Yeah, doing it all there. Extra duty here, and good to have this one ready to roll off the bench. And now 2 for 3.
He's so satisfying. A horse that obviously is a bit of a project, a little bit difficult to put that work in, but be rewarded with efforts like this. Great job.
Nightcap still to come from both here and in Jersey. We'll get to the finale out at Monmouth Park in a moment. Going to close things out with a maiden claiming 6-furlong sprint right after this.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
It is all she feels pretty. The sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
To have this weather and to have the beach and this racetrack, this is paradise. You can't beat it.
This is the Breeders' Cup World Championships from Del Mar.
Oh, it's wide open. Who's it going to be? Sierra Leone does it in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage. Finale out at Monmouth. We have the Nightcap in New York coming up as well. And a 6-furlong maiden claiming sprint to close things out at the Jersey Shore. Let's go to Paul.
Thanks, Greg. As you see, Sir Richard, the 1 right now is your favorite, but I'm going to focus on the 8 for Bobby Hawthorne here. The 8 horse is Lex. A horse by Commissioner that is very fast. And I think, Michael Sanchez already has a winner on the card, Gate to Wire. Now, the horse was off a almost 11-month layoff last time when actually being claimed out of his debut. And I thought from the 1 hole, he really wasn't forced, to go to the front end. The comment says pulled early. He was pulling a little bit early, but he needed that start being off so long. Goes from the inside, the outside. I think that's a key draw here, and that's why this horse is 3-1. Now, the 1 in here is probably your horse to beat, Sir Richard, when it comes to numbers by far. They put blinkers on him last time, son of Omaha Beach. Now, that was over the synthetic, and he did improve a little bit, not figure-wise, but at least placing-wise. Maybe that was the drop from maiden special weight to optional claiming 40. But he's a player here. Ramon Moya does get the mountain here. The 4 is the interesting horse. Attention to detail. This is a horse that is really dropping in class for Kelly Breen. Ran into Flood Zone. Now, Flood Zone winner of the UAE Derby was not his best day. That's a Brad Cox runner, but obviously Flood Zone is a nice horse. So attention to detail could show some speed, but I love the way the 3 looked on the racetrack. Jace is no joke. Gets Lasix for the first time. Fernando Jara, who does have a win going Gate to Wire. I have a feeling this horse, who's getting Lasix for the first time, by Practical Joe, considered really good trip. I do think the 8's the horse to beat by far, Greg, but I want the price at 7-1.
See what happens here to close things out. Yeah, the 1, the 4, and the 8, all very closely bunched here on the board.
I will be a chalk-eating weasel in this race. I think Lex is the one to catch and the one to beat. And I think, like you, the 1 and 4, like the public said, are the other 2 horses in this race. I don't have anything clever to say at all about this race. How about you, Richie? You have something clever to say about anything?
I don't know if it's clever, but do you give the 3 a look at all here? Jace is back?
No, because I rarely bet horses off of a Penn National race, but that's just me.
Yeah, we'll get Lasix start number 3 coming up. Let's go to JK for thoughts on this 9th.
Yeah, guys, it was between the 1 and the 8 for me. They're basically floating right around the same price. Oh, the 1 creeped up a little bit. I'm going to go with the 8 drawn towards the outside. Whenever I see horses that are be similar, I'm always going to take a horse drawn outside. I just always think that's you got a lot more good things that can happen. I don't think it's a great example, but look what happened. The inside can be a little tricky. We saw that yesterday with Journalism, although the rider probably made the decision to go down there. When it comes to Lex, this horse just has speed. And if you look at his races, especially that debut at Parks at 6 furlongs, if he runs that race again here, he'll win. And even in his comeback race going 6.5, he ran well early. He just got a little tired late off a little bit of a short break. I'm expecting him to take another step forward off of that last race, look a little bit more familiar to what we saw from him on debut. And with that outside draw, I think he should be in a very comfortable position to the outside to win this race at Monmouth.
All right, JK, thank you. Real quick, just want to update everyone from the last race at Belmont. The 8 actually was declared a non-starter in that race.
All right, thank you for
that.
that,
So that was the reason for the inquiry.
Okay. Now that that's settled, I know I'll be able to sleep tonight, so thank you for that, Greg.
Small intrigue with the 9 here, who's the number, Chuck Spina.
Well, you're just mad because you picked the wrong Chuck Spina horse yesterday.
I did.
You're trying to catch up for that.
He ran 1-3.
And you took the one who ran 3rd at 100-1 instead of the winner at 100-1.
So you're chasing?
Matt Dinnerman.
He's going to be chasing
always.
Chuck Spina all summer.
Matt Dinnerman, here's the 9th from Monmouth.
And after attention to detail, Prime Motive to the outside post. Live racing resumes on Saturday next week. Saturday through Monday racing next week, along with Memorial Day racing here at Monmouth. So a 3-day week next week, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, featuring the Food Truck Festival here on site, of course. A popular event for all 3 days. Prime Motive coming up. Go again. We're ready to go in the finale. And they're off. Nouveau Depart was off slowly. Feratovic also slow away as well. Good start from Lex, who takes it to him from the onset here. Strides 2.5 ahead. Attention to detail in the second spot. Soar Richard to the inside. Prime Motive, 4th, already pumped upon. 6 off the pace with Feratovic, who makes up ground, a joint 4th. Another length to Surprise Package. 4 more to Jace's No Joke, who's second at last. Nouveau Depart is well behind as they go into the far turn. Lex on the lead. Soar Richard in a little bit of a tight spot. Wanted to move forward. Now he's going to have to tap on the brakes and wait for Racing Room on the inside. Attention to detail. Move past him. Soar Richard waiting in 3rd on the inside on a hold. He's got horse Sorta Richard. Gap of 3. Feratovic has come under a hard ride. Prime Motive next. The others well behind as they come off the turn in the nightcap. Lex on top. Soar Richard still on the inside. Right behind him, trying to get through. He's at a traffic-filled trip. Now he's going to get outside. Soar Richard has 2 lengths to gain. Lex on the inside, under the left-handed encouragement, still there. Soar Richard trying to run by him late, but it's going to be Lex. Michael Sanchez, 2 wins today for him. Soar Richard 2nd, attention to detail was 3rd, and Prime Motive was 4th.
Lex able to hang on and get it done for Bobby Hawthorne here. Career start number 3 breaks the maiden.
Was the speed, got to the front, and held off the 1.
Yeah, broke running Soar Richard. I know a little bit about that, Soar Richard. Had a good ground-saving trip, angled out, was getting to the winner slowly, but not really threatening.
8-1-4, nightcap still to come here at Belmont at the Big A. And a look at Battle Drum. Can Arad Ortiz Jr. make it 3 on this Sunday card? That's his mount coming up.
Zandon's Poetry in Motion, big horse, but light on his feet. And he's always showed up and been consistent and been right there with some of the top horses in training. In the Bluegrass Stakes, he showed his determination and his raw ability.
It's over. Zandon wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
I feel breeders will be really blown away by what a striking, outstanding looking horse he is.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage, and this race will close things out for us. The finale, Belmont of the Big A, $50,000 maiden claiming 6 furlongs, sprint on the turf. Coming up are the 4-5 favorite, Battle Drum, Irad Ortiz Jr. from the rail for trainer Todd Pletcher.
I'm embarrassed to say I've chalked it out with Battle Drum. Interesting stat for Todd Pletcher. Turning back from a route to a sprint, as this horse is doing on the turf, with maidens, he's 3 for 9 with a 566 ROI. With non-maidens, turning back, he's 0 for 31. Not sure what to do with it, but there you have it. You guys got a clever opinion outside of the two? Because I don't.
And here's Ready, Set, Twirl. Will break all the way on the outside here.
Well, he's trying the turf for the first time and does not have any particular turf pedigree, though. Twirling Candies can do anything.
Does have Flavien Prat, the rail. Irad Ortiz Jr., Battle Drum, the favorite.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, and certainly, dropping in for 50, and he's got races more than fast enough to win here.
Speed going long and cutting back Stanley Cat.
Yeah, but they're going to have to do more than just speed.
Seeker's Hope, Mark Hennig, second time on the grass.
Yeah, ran okay first time on the turf. Ran better on synthetic, getting back to the turf and up in company slightly.
Blinkers coming off Standpoint.
The only thing I can say that he has going for him is a switch this Greg Sacco barn, because they've been doing great here
Previously trained by the trainer who just won the nightcap at Monmouth.
Wow.
Bobby Hawthorne. Tap Stick, 16-1.
I give this horse a look. This horse was keen going longer, and I like the turn back for this horse.
Picked him in there, too.
Air Raid Blinkers on with Jose Lezcano.
Both Maggie and I thought he was the other horse in this race, trying the turf for the first time, a half to 2 turf winners.
Turf debut, Prairie Dunes.
Yeah, it's going to have to improve what we've seen on the dirt. And I didn't see a tremendous amount of turf pedigree here.
Suspiciously named New Gelding.
This was after one horse tried a turf that won. Outworks a solid turf sire. I thought this horse was a little interesting.
Sounds like fun. Javier Castellano at 4-1.
Yeah, the one lone turf try, though, it was debut. Left a lot to be desired, but maybe the horse just learned the game a little bit.
4-1?
Yeah,
I mean, they're betting the horse based on a dirt race, and I think what you're saying is true. He may be turning his career around in a better horse than he tried the turf before, and if he was 12-1 and you wanted to bet him here, I get it. But 4-1? No.
Well, this seems a little short. Even money on this Irad Ortiz Jr. favorite with Todd Pletcher, Battle Drum. Let's go to JK.
Oh, man, look, I try. This horse doesn't have a lot of early speed, and I love speed in turf sprints. The 2 Battle Drum. The problem is that none of these other horses really seem like they're going to take advantage of that. Even some of the ones, the 3, the 6, the 1, the 9, who look like they could be possibly forward, they just don't look like they're going to be fast enough to actually take the 2 Battle Drum out of the race. I feel like the 2 Battle Drum is going to find himself connected. I feel like Irad's probably on the best horse, so he's going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive in putting Battle Drum into a position because he's better than these horses. I wanted to so desperately find someone more creative. I just think Battle Drum's going to get invited into the race, and when the real running starts, he's going to be close enough to be able to outfinish all these other horses who unfortunately had a tactical edge but didn't do what they needed to do to take advantage of it. Mags?
Well, JK, this is one favorite that I am actually going to try to beat today. As looking at Battle Drum, while he is more stout and compact, more of a sprinter frame, and he looks fabulous otherwise, it's just the way he runs his races that concerns me, because within those races, he just looks very one-paced. And for me, those don't win turf sprints. As we'll move on to a horse who could be the pace in here, and that's number 3, Stanley Cat. Now, his 2 efforts going around 2 turns, dirt and turf, he blew the turn and got out most of the way. Now, I think it was more or less a 2-turn thing, and he doesn't want to go that far. He's very short-coupled and very much of a sprinter ilk, and maybe he needed gelding too. He does wear a ring bit, but otherwise, I think physically, he fits very nicely with this crew here, obviously running against cheaper horses outside of New York. And that's kind of a short price to take him. I thought he'd be a bigger one, but he does fit with this crew. Air Raid onto some first-time turfers. I do like him getting to the turf. There's enough pedigree there. There's enough physical attributes to say that he should like it. I like the fact that first time for Linda and Jose Lescano, he showed more speed with those bigger shortcut blinkers going on today, so about 1.5 inches outside of his eye. So I like Air Raid, but honestly, number 9, suspiciously named, a little bit more convincing from the physical standpoint of getting on the turf. I like Outworks. He actually hits at 18% with his turf sprinters, and he's kind of your typical Outwork in that he's tall, he's leggy, but generally they're quicker types. So I think he's, as a long shot, he's the one that I'd want to use. And number 10 sounds like fun. I think he's a sprinter. He's built that way, but I also think it's promising that he's rounding into very good form. It's taken a while, but I like this spot for him. I want to give him another shot here, turf sprinting. I agree, though, guys. That's a pretty short price at 4-1.
There he is. So, yeah, outside post, 4-1 here. Sounds like fun. Well, second to the outside, I should say.
And the morning line maker had the horse at 9-2, so I'm the idiot, obviously, and he's right at 9-2 now. I could never bet him, and I don't disagree. He finally ran a good figure last time, and if he can take that to the turf, and he's got... I mean, he's a Union Rags dam, but fantastic, more than ready. Obviously, fantastic won the UN, which I'm sure is obvious to everybody here. Okay, I know
Union Rags not great on grass.
That's Chad Brown no longer runs Union Rags on the turf, and I used to tell him, "You are determined. You're going to die trying to make Union Rags into a turf sire." He finally gave up. I couldn't take this price given his first race. I understand it was a first start, and he may be a completely different horse, and that's fine, and he may win. But for me, I have to get better than 9-2 because his price is determined by an effort on the dirt.
Right.
That's my problem. You know, and that's if you thought he was suddenly didn't really show up, and he had a little turf pedigree, and he thought he had trouble first time, and he was 15-1, I'm all for it. Not a 9-2.
The mare
here.
did produce a one-time turf winner.
I know.
Slower figures. I'm with you though. I'm complete with you. Listen, I think the 2-horse is going to be very tough to beat here. Battle Drum. I'm taking a little bit of a stab with the 6 tap stick because I really like the turn back.
I've got the horse picked third, so I'm with you. I mean, I think he's a little bit interesting on the turn back as well, and I think Air Raid's dangerous first time in the grass. I would prefer to take Air Raid at that price than 4-1 on the 10. Personally, that's just me.
Too. You know, the 3 Stanley Cat, that one turf start going a mile, and was forward on the front end, then backed up. New gelding, and they worked this horse 3 furlongs in preparation for this. So I wonder if we're going to see, even though cutting
up
back
a little bit, right? Yeah.
speed from this horse. 9-1 right now, but yeah, 4-5 favorite. Irad Ortiz Jr. looking for number 3 on this Sunday card. Already, I mean, we talked about it earlier. His workload is just amazing. 566 mounts coming into today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Andy said it best. He never takes a race off.
How mentally do you go through, I mean, year in, year out, to just not take a break?
It is so hard to stay at that level, that intensity for that long, and yet he continually does it. He's most reminiscent of me. I always compare current riders with former riders of Angel Cordero. Angel didn't take races off.
No.
Angel rode
2 horses in a race.
3 maybe, No, but really.
Like his competitive spirit was off the charts.
Absolutely. Like I'll compare Flavien in his preparation and the way he positions horses a lot with Jerry Bailey. To me, Irad and Angel Cordero are synonymous in their styles and their approach.
You feel as though they are as frustrated taking a tough beat in a lower level claiming race as they are in a stake race. These guys wanted to win.
Yes.
And I don't think you can ask for anything more from a
Amazing
rider.
to be able to see, and not to mention an incredible supporting cast too, but these two, Pratt and Ortiz, in the same colony, going head-to-head on a daily basis. It's a real treat.
And a lot of other very talented riders.
They're so good that they stand above some of the other best riders in the world.
Absolutely.
Nightcap from the Sunday card. Belmont at the Big 8, speaking of. There is Pratt, and he'll be on the far outside post here. Chris Griffin, the call.
All set. And they're off. Standpoint has speed from in between horses. They are lined up on the front end, though. Here comes Seeker's Hope. Down towards the inside, also right there is Battle Drum. Stanley Cat's in that early mix, too. Out wider, Air Raid starts to make up some ground. Is also there with Suspiciously Named. Still very tightly bunched as they're 4 across the course. There towards the far outside, Suspiciously Named, Air Raid, they're 1-2. At the rail now is going to be Seeker's Hope. Stanley Cat took off of that pace, is now back there in 4th. Ready, Set, Twirl starts to progress from 5th. Alone in 6th, that's Battle Drum. As they work into the far turn, 22.38 was that opening quarter mile. Prairie Dunes is trying to run on from the back of the field. Sounds like fun. Standpoint has lost ground, and the trailer, that'll be Tapstick. They're approaching the top of the lane, and the front 3 are about to be confronted by Ready, Set, Twirl. They're 4 across the course. Stanley Cat's looking for a way through. Ready, Set, Twirl is ready to pounce, and now thrust to the lead. Battle Drum is in full pursuit down the center of the course as well. Ready, Set, Twirl is lugging in now, getting down over towards the rail, and Battle Drum is chasing with every single stride. Here comes Sounds Like Fun with a late rally, too. It's Ready, Set, Twirl inside the final 16, still there. Ready, Set, Twirl is game. Ready, Set, Twirls in a photo there with Battle Drum. Then came Sounds Like Fun. Further back of the field was Air Raid in 1 minute 9.32 seconds.
Right on cue. They must have heard our conversation. Flavien Pratt on a 15-1 shot, holding off Irad Ortiz Jr. There's 1-2 with those two down to the wire, beating this 3-5.
I mean, Twirling Candy's sort of one of those remarkable sires where horses can do anything, but basically this horse does not have a turf pedigree and was a different horse today. He's never lifted off in the dirt. I mean, it was game. The 2 hung like a chandelier in the 10. He was coming, but just a little bit late.
But man, this is a horse that didn't have any particular turf pedigree to count on. Flavien Pratt getting forward position out of there, and this horse obviously much better on turf. Horse that you got to keep an eye on. It was a big price here. It was a 3 Stanley Cat, who just never had a comfortable spot. Kind of, always in and amongst horses and never with a clear path. I think a horse that actually could come back with a good effort turf sprinting.
We're almost, Andy, and Mig, I'll ask this to you too. We're almost halfway through the year. Pratt's winning at almost 28%. I mean, that's pretty outstanding.
That's really incredible.
You know what that tells you? He's riding great, and his agent is agenting great. No rider wins at that kind of percentage unless their agent is putting him on live horses.
The good agents.
There's Rudy Rodriguez,
the good agents are sort of in the shadows, and Brad Pegram does a sensational job with
job.
With Flavia. And obviously, you know, you've got to have the clay to work with to make the product. And he's got a great rider, but Brad's always done a great job with him.
An agent can only get a rider opportunities if the rider is wanted, right? And, you know, an agent's not the Wizard of Oz. He can't instill a brain in a rider. He can't instill heart in a rider.
And God, no, they tried with you. They really did.
Well, I mean, and I went through a lot of agents trying to see if there was one that could actually do it.
Rudy Rodriguez, he gets one of the hottest commodities on board, his 15-1 shot here, and it pays off with a big upset win. Pratt 3 wins on this Sunday card. And a bit of a surprise here to close things out.
Yeah, not a horse that was on my radar. So I hope you had him. Congrats if you did.
Yeah, I kind of dismissed this horse, honestly, on the pedigree angle.
Just didn't really have any and didn't show anything in the dirt, but different horse today.
1, 2, 10, 7. Let's get back to our 3-year-old conversation. And again, just an incredible performance and just show of determination and will from journalism to pull off this Preakness.
You know, it's funny. We see sort of really cool performances by horses. Not that rarely, because we're at the track every day covering the races, and you see a claiming race, you see a horse that's like amazing. For this kind of performance, exciting performance from this kind of horse in a big race, it's a good opportunity to show people why racing is exciting, as we find racing as exciting as we do.
Isn't it great, as long as we've been in the game, to be able to get that excited over a stretch run after he was able to extricate himself from an impossible position?
And a son of Curlin, who overcame trouble to win his Preakness back in, what,
Right.
2007.
I was there
and
for
run
that.
down the Kentucky Derby winner.
Yeah, that's right. Street Sense basically had put him away, and he came back on to get it done. And just an exciting race and a good horse. And I think, you know, you think back in your lives, the racetrack, and you listen, Rich and I have been around forever, but you've been around a long time. And you think of some of these great races. I mean, you and I remember Forgo beating Honest Pleasure in the wire in one of the most exciting big races of all time. But there have been so many ones, and I think this Preakness is one of those races that people will look back on and remember it as just a thrilling, thrilling race with the best horse winning.
Yeah, the best horse won, and now, you know, the prospects of Sovereignty and him hooking up again.
With Baeza.
Baeza, throw him into the mix. And I really of the opinion that this is a very solid group of 3-year-olds. Now, right now, you've got to give Sovereignty a slight edge with a lot of racing to go because they're 1-1, you know, head-up matchup. He did finish in front of journalism.
And listen, from the perspective of our business and the excitement, you're rooting for Triple Crown hopefuls. We are. We want one horse to win one race every year. Having said that, a Derby winner facing off against the second-place finisher who came back to win the Preakness.
Who was the favorite in the Derby.
It's not exactly a bad sub-story, you know? I mean, it's not the Triple Crown, but these two squaring off, that's what rivalries, right? I mean, Firmed and Alydar, Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. These were some of the great moments in my life at the racetrack. People talk about swaps in Nashua, right? You know, they talk about these things. Rivalries is what really is exciting.
These connections, to look, and ownership of journalism, they you know, respect the game, obviously, and what it means to show up.
Absolutely.
They want to be there. They want that rematch with Sovereignty.
Sure.
Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. They're going to wait to the last minute, they talked about, to make sure, obviously, he's healthy enough to do it after a tough race. But they want to go at it again, and we all hope that. We're going to wait for it and, you know, hold our breath to see if that's the case. But that having that showdown on that stage at Saratoga for a Belmont would be sensational.
And not enough has been made, I think, of Michael McCarthy, the trainer of journalism, because he clearly thought, I have a real chance to have a Triple Crown winning horse here. And now I'm not saying others didn't feel that way.
Sure.
But he said, I'm going to prepare this horse to run in 3 races in 5 weeks and try to get him there. So he had him ready for the Preakness. And once again, first, third, and fourth place finishers all coming back on 2 weeks rest. Hopefully putting to bed for now the notion that horses can't come back. This is not a criticism of Bill Mott. He is entitled to make the decision that he made. In my opinion, he belongs in the on the Mount Rushmore of great trainers.
Sure.
But that horses came back on short rest and got it done. And I'm salivating the prospect of these 3 horses all hooking up again on Belmonte.
This performance, Sovereignty, he took that, you know, big leap forward in the first couple of starts of his 3-year-old campaign, wins the Derby. Off what you've seen now to this point, who deserves to be on top of the hill?
The Derby winner is always going to be on top in this situation.
Even after this unreal performance in the Preakness.
Because he beat him. And he beat him fair and square.
They're
It's just
one
it's the
head-to-head
nature of the
matchup.
game. Nobody's saying it's over, but at this point, he's got to be ahead of him. And listen, what happens if Baeza wins the Belmont? Now you've got
makes
three.
the Travers
and
even more
right, and
interesting.
The more good horses, the merrier. And the other thing about these horses are they're not a bunch of bums that are facing bad horses and looking better than they are. These are genuinely good horses running together in these races.
Absolutely. Now, that all being said, if I could ride one, I'd want to ride journalism. He
you
does
might get a
something to
call,
me.
Richie.
No,
You almost did.
No, it's you know that page is turned. That book is closed. We started a new chapter.
Carmela
It's
glued
hard
that
not to get
page, that book
excited.
shut.
You don't see horses. I mean, we know how athletic and talented he is, but just the heart,
the
and desire
acceleration.
as well. But he was 5 1/4. He had to make up 5 1/4 lengths.
He went his last 8 in like 12 seconds and change.
And
It was
after being
remarkable.
stymied in traffic
And
and
when he
body
finally
contact.
got clear, he was like right there with Sandman, a deep closer, and he ran away from him like nothing.
Left him. Yeah. Yep.
What a
Saw
race.
the prices there. It's easy to get excited about this 3-year-old division after what we saw on Saturday, Sovereignty as well. And hopefully they meet up. Belmont at Saratoga. If you've not already gotten your tickets for that week and that big day, do it now. We're back on Friday, 1 Eastern start time. What a performance in Baltimore from journalism, bullying his way through, refusing to lose. And Michael McCarthy now 2 for 2 in the Preakness. Sovereignty waiting to see who's going to meet him. And the Belmont at Saratoga after that Derby victory with this trophy awaiting. We'll see you next Friday.
McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, proudly standing 4-time champion New York sire Central Banker, sire of multiple stakes winner Bank Frenzy.
Now Bank Frenzy means business and he'll win the Haynesfield.
Also standing Salamini, sire of Grade 2 winner Winstock, and 7-time stake horse Doc Sullivan.
Doc Sullivan dominates to Mike Lee.
And Provocateur, the only Grade 1 son of Into Mischief standing in New York, half-brother to Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez. At McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, New York stallions that deliver.
These New York bred foals represent many sires: War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA Tracks.